Did you press the button top right in StreamYard? There we go.
We're live. Cool. All right. Impromptu stream just for the 4D roleplay crowd. Thank y'all for joining. Thanks for coming on, guys. I love people who actually want to talk about stuff. First of all, just like seriously, thanks. Because I try to get my family and friends to talk about role-playing and the philosophy of it, and no one cares.
Welcome to our world. Nobody gives a shit.
So I would so much rather be like talked down to by all these people who at least care about it than, just be right in my own corner. So, all right, cool. I suppose it falls upon me to start because I was the one that said the inflammatory thing in the server. If y'all give me like a minute or two, I'll give my thesis if you're okay.
Yeah.
You did post a video and I did not watch it yet. So
right. So
that would help.
I don't think anyone really watched it before it started just
exactly. Look,
I watched it. I left a comment.
I'll have to check that. All right, so my central thesis summarized is that you have two types of role play. You have the performative role play, the outward. It's what the 4D server focuses on a lot. It's, well, I'm going to stay in character. My words are going to be in character. My emotions, I'm not going to do meta talking. I'm not going to joke, etc. I'm going to act, perform like I am the character, right? Of course, that's really good. That's great. It doesn't break anyone else's immersion. The game runs fast. Lots of virtues to that. I like 4D. But my personal priority with, the Archmaster, the Architecture of the Gaming channel, my, what I call the Arch game, my style of play, is that I focus on the internal state, the mental state. I want you as the player to be immersed first. And from that internal experience, I think that then you add the performative to it. But the performative is second. The internal reality is most important. It's kind of like Jesus coming in and saying, hey, what matters is the heart, not the outward actions, right? That's kind of my thing, as I'm saying, it really matters your experience being you feeling like the character, right? I'll give one example. I was watching a Brendan Lee Mulligan thing some time ago, and he was talking about the power of RPGs on players and whatnot. And he was saying, yeah, I had this old witch hag girl, and she was super kind to the characters, and she gave them potions and helped them out, and she was super nice. And then the party went off on a journey and was fighting and whatnot. And when they came back, they found her lynched. The townsfolk had lynched her, and she was hanging from a tree. And the players all got this look like, oh my goodness, they killed our friend. We're going to kill every last villager, right? And so that was not them acting. It wasn't them thinking, how would my character react? Instead, they felt it. They felt like the character. They killed my friend, not, they killed my character's friend. How would he act, right? It's not this top-down view. It's personal. It's experience. They're like, I'm in the world. They killed my friend. I feel it. What am I going to do about it, right? That is what I mean. I call that role-filling instead of role-playing. You're not playing the role, you are the role. You're filling the role. That is full immersion, right? And my problem with 4D is that anytime you allow the player to not just interact with the scene, like, oh yeah, you're in a traffic jam, and you say, oh, well, I've jumped on top of a taxi nearby, right? That's not going to break immersion. That's fully fine. But if you're in a traffic jam and you say, oh yeah, I know that there's a gang hideout because I'm part of a gang and it's 3 blocks down. It's like, you are not fully immersed in the character, not role filling. You're not in there. You're not in it. You're thinking of other stuff. You took a 10,000 foot view and you're thinking about stuff, and then you jump back into your character. And I don't like the switch. I don't like the back and forth. I want you to just stay in the character. And that does require a lot of prep. It means you and the GM have to talk about, the setting. All right, GM, where are my hideouts? How many people are in it? Who do I know? Who's my contact? You have to actually put in the work to make it real. Because my whole thing is your experience as a player ought to feel real. And so therefore, all of the information you have, you need to have a lot of information so that it feels real to you.
That's my biggest issue. I think we can start right here because I was nodding along with a lot of your points, especially the points of role filling, I think makes it clear, because role play is a term that gets used for everything. From video games to role-playing games to tabletop games to board games, everything is a role-playing game. So the term is kind of meaningless. 4D role-play is an attempt of, okay, you can have role-playing game. We create a new term to help us redefine what we want and what we like, so we don't have to have this constant fight. So when you release a video, well, actually 3.76 is so much better.
That was so funny.
Yeah, that's eternally funny to us because fine, like we are creating a new definition if you want to make like a branch and offshoot. Of course, I understand it's a way to help you frame your frame of mind. So I'm okay with that. Like that makes sense. Unlike other people that are using it in a way to deride what people mean, but the point that I've written down here is what you've said of, you don't want to get out of your character's mind. So you're doing a lot of prep to find out like how many hideouts are in the city and what do I know about this place and give me all of the lore so that I have everything in my mind before we start playing. That's the problem. That's actually is a problem because roleplay, what I want to say, is incredibly easy. It's so easy that children can do it without a second thought. They play pretend. It's the same thing. They don't think about, oh, I'm going to pretend to be a doctor. They're just being a doctor of like, oh, your leg hurts, give it to me. Then they punch it with a hammer. Then the girl cries like, oh, what did I do wrong? I did everything a doctor would do, you know?
Yes.
That's when things break down.
And with children role-playing, you do have that co-creation. I reach over, I grab my scalpel, I do whatnot, right? They don't ask any questions. They just do that. My whole thing is that role-playing is not enough for me. I like role-playing. I know this is a role-playing server.
Role-playing is not enough. That's the title.
That's my thing, exactly. Role-playing is not enough. I see 4 ingredients to this cake, and role-playing is one of them. But I like all the rest, and I say, y'all are missing out if you're not getting the 4 ingredients. These 4 are what I call the arch game. Putting all 4 of these together. Role-playing is great, but it's not enough.
So I wanted to say first, I watched your video and I thought that's fine. I think that's fine. Obviously, I think a little different. Like I'm more 4D, but like I'm like, okay, if you want to play that way, that's great. But Mr. Max has an old video on this somewhere. His channel is now called Off the Rails Roleplay. Yeah. And he said something like roleplay is not just acting like your character, it's thinking as your character. And I don't know if that made it into the handbook or not, because I don't remember it being there. It could be.
That's the big difference.
But
that's what I want.
I don't know if like Space Roadie cares about that. Maybe he does. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. But for me, I want to be immersed. I want to be that character, like you're saying.
Yes.
I want to be having those thoughts like the character is having. And can I jump in? I call that role playing, but
feel free.
Yeah. Conclude your thought first.
No, that was it.
Okay. So I get easily lost, so I will repeat what you said and you tell me if that's correct before I can. So the inner mental state, what you called role feeling, for you, this act of co-creation, you gave the example of the one game you were in with the zombies and the mafia, right? If I'm the guy and I say, actually, I know some guys down the block in a warehouse or something, that's going out of their living character, and you're not feeling anymore like the character. I think that's more of a personal thing, because so far in the experience I had with 4D, I have these little moments of co-creating elements, even down to I know a guy, and at no moment I had to break my line of thought as the character, if that makes sense. One example that jumps to my mind, Zolar ran a 5e game for us. We were doing like the monsters game, right? I was playing the goblin, and I co-created a little goblin insurrection. Like we had a secret meeting, and why I don't think that's living character is because me as a player, I know my character best than anyone else. So I know things that he would know about. Therefore, I can say that there is a goblin insurrection without.
But you didn't tell me. As a game master, I should have complete control over this world. And if you're not telling me, therefore I must kick you in the butts. or something like
but
that.
the
Like,
thing with 4D is that I say it's kind of a dance, right? I throw you a bone, you throw a bone back, and we kind of discover, we dance as the music is being played, so to speak. Like I said, it might be mostly a personal thing, but I never had this moment of feeling like I left character because I co-created. Mostly because I only co-create things that are very plausible or make sense. I will never, if I go out of my way or if I start thinking, what could I co-create now? I think that's a bad form, and it's something that I see a lot of new people joining the Discord being hung up about. Like, man, I didn't co-create enough. And I think that's a bad mindset, because it's not about co-creating, it's about not worrying and trying to get into the flow of your character. If you co-create, like, cool, you did, but if you don't have to,
that's
I
a
agree.
part.
It's funny. Go ahead. I was
That's
gonna
a
say
part of-
it's
Am I
Zonalar.
going ahead or
Zonalar.
not?
Zonalar's
Hellfucker?
going.
So no lie.
That's a part of trying to reclaim the term role play. Yes, it's okay. Don't worry if you co-created, at least you role played, right? We want to give that word meaning again. And for the role play to help us be like, okay, there are different ways to role play, fine, whatever. But I think those different ways aren't giving the people what they want. Like Beers and Pretzels games, you can play an entire session and never role play any scene. Like role play, none of it. It's possible, people have done it and they still laugh and was like, oh, that's so cool. But the moments they remember are the scenes they have role played. It's when a character died and the other players are standing there in shock, going onto their knees, be like, please, Cleric, can you resurrect him? And he's like, I'm out of money, bro. I don't got a diamond on me. As reality sets in. And you don't want to think of like, oh, how would this dramatic moment play out for my character? You want to feel those emotions and play them out.
Yes, emotional bleed. Yeah, that is that third ingredient.
I don't know about bleed. Because I know the separation between myself and my character, but because I know it and I put myself into this frame of mind, I act through what my character is feeling. There's no barrier in between. Like, okay, that's my character. He's upset. I'm role-playing upset. I might not be upset personally. Sometimes it's harder to get there, but I'll go as close as possible without wearing the fucking table of like, wait, is he being schizophrenic or not?
Yeah.
Dude, Nicholas, didn't you say like sometimes you sweat when you're role playing?
I do, but I think I get, again, this might be a me thing, because every time I mention this, people make fun of me in the Discord, so it's probably just a me thing. But I get really invested, like I even try to regulate my breathing to, like, if I'm in an action scene, I try to speak like that, because it helps me. This is more of a me thing. It helps me get into it's adrenaline, so by the end of some games, I am like physically tired.
Exhausted.
And Nick, I think you and I would get along really well with role playing. I think we're closer than maybe I am with Zonalar. Well, one thing I'd like to say, if I can, in the comments, Rocketeered said the experience of the player and the experience of the character are not the same, and this ties into something you said, Nick, which was essentially. Well, no, I'm stuck up on this. All right, your thing was something like. When I'm immersed in the character, when I co-create, I don't feel like I'm leaving the character. I still feel like I'm immersed, right? To me, the way I think about that is, if we're in a pool, we're swimming, right? The people doing 1D roleplay, if we're going to use that old term, they're not even in the pool. They're sitting up on the side, kicking the water with their feet, right? They're not actually swimming, right? 2D, they're kind of wading in. They're sitting on a step. They're up to their waist, right? 3D, you're in the pool, but your head's above water half the time. You may dunk in a couple times. You're above water. 4D is, you're in there, you're immersed and whatnot, right?
You're submerged.
Yeah, submerged. You're immersed, right? My thing is that
You're baptized in the role play.
There is like you're in a pool, but there's actually a secret compartment where you can swim down and go underneath the pool and get taken by the rapids. And you have never actually done that. You don't know that's possible. You're not even aware. So for you, you're sitting there in 4D and you're saying, hey, when I co-create, I'm not coming up for air. I'm fine. I'm still underwater. And I say, you don't know what deep water looks like yet. There's a level of immersion that is so much deeper than you know. That's kind of what I'm getting to, is that most people, like this guy with Rocket, he said, oh, the difference between the experience of the player and the experience of the character are not the same. But they can be. They can be very freaking close. And most people don't even know how to do that. They don't know what's possible. And that's why I'm here telling you the 4 ingredients of the Arch game. This gives you a level of immersion into the world, the character, the play, the emotions, everything that most people have just never talked about. That's what I'm saying.
To that, I would honestly say I would want to see one of your games uploaded to see how immersed you are. I know it's a meme in the Discord, but it's for a reason. That's why we upload
have a
our
kernel. For all memes have a kernel of truth, and because it's true, that's why it's funny, right? If you think this is the next step, then you need to show it. And I remember I pushed you on that during the live chat in Off the Rails roleplay, and you said, "Oh yeah, to do like a show about it, I need to do all of this prep and need to get better and do all of this work." And that is the entire thing I've had a problem with. And of course, you can restate if this is true or not. I'm not pinning you down on that. It's if it's that hard, then who is the appeal for? I want the role play to appeal to anyone who likes being immersed in their character and experience that moment as if they were there. When they leave the table, they take a moment and reflect, and they formed the memories like they were there. Not that they don't form the memories of sitting at the table. They form the memories of stabbing the orc with the spear and getting like stomped by his iron boot anyways.
Mm-hmm. And I think 4D does a decent job of achieving that. A decent job. It's like 3 stars. You have the visuals of being there. That's cool. But again, that's like having a memory of being in the pool, in the 6-foot pool, swimming around at the bottom. Well, that's great. Good for you. But I want the rapids. That's not enough for me. I want something more.
Oh, sorry. Conclude this line of thought.
I mean, this is the point. If you can show that, and I'm more than like, I'm super happy to watch people role play and watch it manifest at their tables, because you can see when players are really into those moments, but it's hard to feel it as a bystander, as a viewer. So you need to show that. I think it's a burden of proof on you to prove us wrong in this case. And I don't think it's not like a court case. It's like an adventure. It's like, oh, you are going on a different adventure that's even more awesome. Heck yeah, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, exactly, I understand.
I would want to know. Yeah. I'd want to be there.
That's fair, totally fair. Nick, you want to say something?
Maybe this is something it's hard to answer, but could you give an example of what would be the ramparts, as you say? Like if you asked me what would be the feeling of role playing in 4D or what we call full immersion, I would describe as it felt like I was the character. It's kind of a meme saying, it felt like I understood.
I was there. I was already there.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that if you don't really have the words to explain it, it's fine, because it's a hard thing to explain, because it's mostly something that is happening inside your head, right? Like, what would be the next step? Because in my experience, again, this could be the Play-Doh thing, like I think I'm outside, but at the end of my sessions, like I'm sweating. Like, to me, it was a satisfying experience of being the character, interacting with the world as the character, back and forth with NPCs and the other players.
Yeah,
as well.
It's how do you know? How do you test it? How do you ensure it? How do you make it concrete? All valid questions. I think that's the question you're getting to. That's the next answer. As someone in the chat here just said, so something about you can't actually read. You can't read another person's mind. So they shouldn't describe how they feel, etc. Yeah, my whole thing isn't so much that my game will look so much different from 4D gaming. If you saw me roleplay with a group that actually wants to roleplay the way I do, the side note, the reason I haven't uploaded anything is because I don't have a group that actually even 4D roleplays, let alone role filling an Arch game, right? I'm still working on them, so I have nothing to upload. So anyway, back to main point. Right. if you were to watch me in a group actually play the Arch game with the full rapids and all the stuff, you wouldn't be able to tell a difference between that and 4D. You'd say, oh, they're staying in character, they're speaking in character, they're saying where they are, etc., all that stuff, and it wouldn't look any different. The thing though is that I can look at 4D and I can say, hey, what is your personal experience? Nick, what is your experience? Are you feeling like the character? Are you sweating? Are you in it? Do you feel it? And then, David, do you feel like the character? And David may say, oh, no, I don't really feel like the character, but I act like the character. And you may say, oh, yeah, I act like the character, and I feel. And I say, Nick, you are closer to the Arch game than David, right? So it's not about performative. It's not about you have to do something different. It's that I want to make sure you are getting the most of it. And there really is no way for anyone else to judge whether or not you are fully immersed. It is for you to know, and you alone. But I still want you to know that that is an option and that it could enhance your game. Yeah, someone said a player cannot feel like the character. I think you're missing out. Like, that's the problem. People don't know that it's possible. And that's why my channel exists. I'm trying to tell you it is possible.
So that's, if I jump in here, that's a point of that I'm doing with my training sessions when I invite new players in. I want them to experience that moment of, oh, right, I'm in control of this character. If I do nothing, my character is not doing anything, but the world moves on. Mm-hmm. If they do something, the world reacts to what they're doing. And I enforce that through the actions of the world, of people getting annoyed that they don't do anything, or the war starts, even though they didn't prepare yet. Mm-hmm. Or the NPCs are asking, like, tell us, leader, you need to give us a command, we're being taken apart. And when I run the training sessions, I do ask the players afterward, and I see it in how they respond. At first, they take a while because they're thinking. They're not being the character. They're thinking, what would the character do? What would my character say? And I make sure to repeat the process for in about those 30 minutes. They get to the point of they stop thinking what their character would do. They just act. They don't have to think about it anymore. Because they understand their character. They put on the fucking skin suit, right? They got the helmet on. They're wearing the sword and shield. They are the guy, and now they're just acting. And at the end of the training session, I do ask of what they have problems with, what they really liked, and they tell me, "Oh yeah, I had lots of struggles when I saw the guys at the outside of the window. I wanted to ask, like, hello, who's there?" And then he realized, wait, everyone is dead in this village. And he stopped himself and reframed the scene of, no, I am there. Everybody's dead. I see somebody outside the window. I'm in danger. And now after he had those 5 seconds of thinking about it, now he's back into the character and has a better time being immersed. And he tells me afterward, I'm not interrupting that moment because it's crucial that I shut up and allow him to have that moment to get into character, where at a normal role-playing table, a player might make a reference or make a joke or ask the GM a rules question real quick, because there's, you got some time. And some game masters, they think, oh no, I have that air, quick, panic, throw in a new thing. I must entertain the players. All pitfalls.
We both agree that those are all pitfalls. As I said, the appearance of playing the Arch game looks almost identical to the appearance of 4D role-playing. It's that the players aren't doing any co-creation. They're just, having immersive interactions with the world, like, oh yeah, I go pick up the fork on the table, but they're just not creating stuff. That's the only difference you would actually be able to see from the outside.
Yeah, that's 3D, by the way. I mean, last year, that's what we defined as 3D. We are just removing co-creation completely from the menu, and you're just being your character. Don't worry about influencing the world. Just be yourself. Mm-hmm. And as we played more, we realized, lots of people get hung up on that you're not allowed to co-create the pen in the office table or the pillow in the bedroom. And we said, no, let's just make that part of the gaming experience so people stop arguing about it. No, that's just a part of the game now.
I'm so glad we kind of changed that because there's so many people commenting on the co-creation thing. Like anytime they have a problem with 4D, it's a co-creation. And meanwhile, I'm like, I don't really think about co-creation at all. I'm like,
What if
what's the
he-
last thing I
yeah.
co-created? I don't know.
What if he imagines this chicken roast inside the wall after he punches it, like a Castlevania game? Nobody thinks that way in our games. Like, none of our sessions had a problem ever. Not
Yeah.
a single one. Because I think that's the big fear that you have, right? A player co-creates an element like the Bandit Gang, and you had an imagination of your world in your mind, and now it's disrupted. Now it doesn't make sense anymore.
That's not it.
What is it?
That's not it at all.
It's
I tried to explain
the
this
character mindset.
Exactly.
Right?
Thank you, Nick. It's not about creating problems in the game. I said as much at the end of my video. I'm not afraid of creating problems in the game. I'm not a control freak. It's not about, oh, you messed up my world. It's none of those things. My whole Arch game thing is I'm concerned about your personal experience. I want you as a player to have a fully immersed experience like none other. That is my concern. I want to make sure you are fully immersed. That's why I don't want you to add something, because to add something to the world, you have to break your immersion. You have to be Neo, pop out of the Matrix, change some settings in the Matrix, and then plug back in, right? I don't want you to plug in and out of the Matrix to change things. I want you to just be in the world and think that it's real.
The world is real. You don't have to think about it.
Right. Well, okay. So I don't want you to be an awakened person in the Matrix, like the like Neo and the Morpheus and them. They know the Matrix is fake, and they can add things and edit things. They can say, "Hey, I need a helicopter," right? I don't want you to have that feeling. I don't want you to think, "Ooh, I need to co-create something." I don't want you to be awakened. I want you to be like all the sleepers in the Matrix. I want you to think that it's real. And as soon as I give you the ability that, hey, by the way, you can add stuff to the world, now you're woken up. You take the red pill and you're never going back, right? I want to give my players the blue pill and be fully immersed in the world.
So, it seems it's mostly a personal inside thing for each one playing, which makes it by nature hard to quantify.
Exactly.
Because you played only one session so far, right? And for you was the UNPC, which it's a different beast because you're getting a little excited to play a pirate game and you're playing like a caveman game. It's the nature of the beast with UNPC. But since you had your experience playing your game, because you created your game and you played a 4D session, to you, how would you differentiate? Let me phrase it like this: what felt different when you played like a 4D game and compared to, I'll call it Arch game. You have a different name. I'm sorry if I don't remember. I refer as Arch.
It's the Arch game, yeah.
Okay, it's like, how would you put? Like, what's the feeling? Like, what made you feel more immersed in one as opposed to the other?
Again, it's not okay. When I say game, I don't mean system. I mean play style. Because in my opinion, a game is the combination of the mechanics and the method by which you use the mechanics, like the rules, right? Combined, that makes a game. So when I say Arch game, I mean Arch mechanics plus method to use mechanics. Anyway, there's very little difference to me because, as I said, it is a personal experience. It is a personal goal, a personal method. So I can actually Arch game in that UNPC session, whereas the guy next to me isn't playing the Arch game. He's just doing 4D because I'm refusing to co-create. Right, I am, or at least not like major co-create. I can say, oh yeah, I jump on the van, right? Because we're in a traffic jam. I jump on the van. That's fine. That's not co-creation. That's not what I call co-creation. But I'm not going to say, oh yeah, my sister lives in that apartment. She might be able to help, right? Or oh yeah, this guy owes me money, right? Then, yeah. So the difference for me, there isn't really one because I'm choosing to play the Arch game, and so that's my whole thing. On the server, on the 4D server. A lot of people talk about, hey, here's your performance. Here's what you must do, like when you're playing, right? I'm saying, here's what you should think, right? You're going to do the exact same things, except major co-creation. But I want you to think something different so your personal experience is enhanced. My whole message is your mind should change, not so much your behavior. And the problem is I don't see anyone even saying that this is a noble method, a noble goal. Like, hey, by the way, you should be really immersed in the character because it's a lot more fun. No one cares.
I disagree.
Just before you follow up, just because we are already in an altercation here, so to speak.
Altercation.
So,
it's a fight.
Sorry, I'm ESL. Okay, sometimes I go to the first word that best fits. The thing, like with 4D, you mentioned that game system to you is a mix of the philosophy, the style, and the mechanics itself, right?
No, so there's a system, a game system, which is the mechanics, right? The rules. And
Yeah.
then there is the method by which you use that system.
Okay.
Combined, that's what I call a game. I could give you an example if you want.
All right. Because 4D is mostly my style, so much so that we are most of the times we're trying a new system. Like we get will it 4D, you know, it's kind of like the panel we do for fun.
4D is the method, regardless of system.
So you wouldn't be able to like arch game any other system.
So
like, would you be able to achieve what you achieve when you play your game? Like if you try to run it, I don't know, in
Can you arch
Shadow
game
Dark
in
or
D&D
Powered by
5e?
the Apocalypse? Yeah.
Great questions. Okay, so an analogy, just as ground rules. You have a ball, right? It can be a soccer ball, a volleyball, a dodgeball, whatever. You have a ball, and the ball bounces, and you can throw the ball, and we have physics, and it bounces off walls, right? Those are the mechanics. The physics that God made, this is how the world works. These are the mechanics, right? But then the method by which you use these mechanics, dodgeball versus basketball, right? You take the same mechanics, but a different method, and one is basketball, one's dodgeball, right? And so in the same way that the system and the mechanics in different combinations create different games, right? Even though one part of it may still be the same, if you change the mechanics, it's different. So my personal system is called Arches of Apsildon. Okay, that is a system. That is the mechanics. That's the ball, right? The method of play is the arch game. That is, how you use this system, right? So in the same way that you can have 4D role playing with several different systems, you can have arch game with several different systems. But in the same way that y'all say a simpler system is better for 4D, I say that my game, Arches of Apsildon, is better for the arch game. So you conceivably could play D&D 5e, but I think D&D 5e stinks, and I don't really think you'd be able to play the arch game in it. That's specifically why I made my system.
It's very easy. It's not that hard at all. The biggest problems that I've come across since I ran the D&D 5e experiment for this very reason, to find out, okay, is the system at fault? Does WotC just fucking suck balls, or is it possible to play? And the biggest answer is systems that have like vague rules that must have the game master judge everything that's happening based on the roll differently. Like you got Daggerheart, it's an 18. Oh, but it's a happy die or it's a sad die. So the 18 means something different every single time. And now you have to reframe all the events that are happening, and that stops you from being immersed in the world and reacting what feels naturally to you. D&D is very simple. Do you reach the difficulty number or not? Yes or no answers. And you can predetermine that. You can know the rules. You can think about, okay, I have about a vague rule set of what is hard, what is easy. I got numbers in my head, and you just go through the matrix, roll the die, yes, no answer. Easy. We can stay immersed and keep on going.
I think that's fine. But how do we get here? What were we saying before D&D?
5e stinks and is not useful for arch gaming. And I'm saying, well, but it's super simple to do it in 4D. Since you said mechanically difficult games are hard. That's why we are also doing Pathfinder now, first edition, the harder version, to see how does it interact with the more mechanically clunky game. And the answer is we just ignore all the clunk. We use the rules that are meaningful to the moment for our characters.
Zonalar, I think you touched on something really important. I don't say that D&D stinks because it's too complex or that it has too many numbers or too much crunching. I say it stinks because what it has doesn't make sense. It breaks immersion. I've been stabbed 14 times and I wake up in the morning, I'm fine. That is why it stinks. It breaks immersion. Yes. I slept and then I have 14 spells. Where did those come from? You can't roleplay that. You can't actually say, I woke up and I have all this magic. Where did I get this, right? It breaks immersion because none of it is actually in the world. My whole system.
To say it differently, you have to break it down. Okay, how can I roleplay in this world where you wake up and you can cast spells again? What does it mean for my character? What does it mean for the world? You need to have an answer to that question. Otherwise, it feels like you're playing with silly putty. Can't take it seriously.
Yeah, but the problem is in Forgotten Realms, there's no answer to that question. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
It's just an unmade world. So that is why it doesn't matter the crunch of the system. My system is about as crunchy as D&D 5e. Okay, so it's not that I'm low crunch. My thing is that everything in the game, everything that you interact with has to make sense, right? In my system, I have one of my spellcasters, and their spell slots are Skyrim-style soul gems. So they have a small soul gem, and a medium soul gem, and a large soul gem, and that's first, second, and third level spells. So you have 3 soul gems on your person filled with souls, and those are your 3 level spells. So you pick up a large soul gem, and you cast a spell, channel it through it, and you cast your 3rd level spell. It's all in the world. It's immersive. You know what it is. This is my spell slot. It's a physical thing, right? That is why I say my system is better than 5e, because you can actually feel like a character grounded in the world in my system. You cannot feel like a character grounded in the world in 5e, because you regain all your HP when you wake up. Like, what is the short rest? What does the short rest actually look like in the world? What does that mean?
Okay, so I have because I want to bring up something very specific, and it's called suspension of disbelief. And I mean, this is not an insult, but you're not beating the control freak allegations. Like, everything needs to make sense in your world. That's the problem. I don't want to think about how everything makes sense. I just believe that it makes sense. The problem is, once you accept that it makes sense, but something happens that disrupts it, that breaks you out of the suspension of disbelief. That's where the problems occur. So when we roleplay 5e, we asked, well, how do we handle the healing stuff overnight? And I said, well, you can heal over a week. We use this optional rule that they provided in the Dungeon Master's Guide. That one is easy. For the spell slots, not really an issue, honestly. I consider it like your stamina, like how much of a headache you get, and allow the players to adjudicate. He's a druid, he has spell slots. What does it feel like for him when he runs out of spell slots? The player adjudicates, not me as a game master. As long as they are suspended in disbelief, the world is real. The magic is real. Does that make sense? In comparison to, no, I must have an answer to all the questions beforehand. That's why I'm pushing back.
Yes,
I push back.
I completely understand what you're saying, Zonalar. I'd like to respond if neither of you have anything to say.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna respond first.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you
Oh, me. Okay. So I totally understand what you're saying. That is a valid way to play. Of course, you have your fun and all that. But 2 things.
We're having fun over here.
As long as everyone's having fun, right, Max? All right. So 2 things. One, you said, oh, it doesn't bother me, suspension of disbelief. And then you went on to say, but I actually did have to change some mechanics because they were just too bad for me to actually suspend my disbelief. I just couldn't do it.
I didn't change them. I used the rules in the rule book.
Okay, whatever. Okay, well,
they're optional, and I think it's a chicken way to do it. Oh, they're optional for your player table. No, just like if you're the creator, lay down the law. This is the best way to play my game. I think this is fine.
Okay, that's fine. I'll move on to the next part of this first point, which is, you said, oh, short rest, I count it stamina, I count XYZ. That, again, the system is so poor that wrecks your suspension of disbelief. It breaks down. Why? Because of a couple of things. One is immunity, okay? If you say, oh, when, my character just has a regular amount of, character constitution, and when someone's flinging fireballs at me and I get hit and take damage and lose 5 HP, my character actually didn't get hit. I just dodged out of the way, and I used up my stamina and my will to fight. And then only the last hit that brings me to 0, that's the one that hit me, right?
Yes.
That doesn't make sense when you think about immunity. What if you're immune to fire and you wade in lava? Are you saying that, oh, actually, I'm not actually, wading in lava. I just have such a great amount of luck and such a great amount of will to fight that I can just avoid taking damage from the lava. It's like, no, hit points has to be physical damage taken. Otherwise, resistances, immunities, and vulnerabilities make no sense. So that's another thing you're going to have to homebrew, along with your short rest, along with a dozen other things if I keep going. 5e stinks because it's not consistent.
I don't think so. So the
David
big...
Real quick, guys.
He's fighting the Mithras demons right now.
They're coming out.
Oh no. No, but I was just gonna say I can't stick around any longer. I'm gonna do something. But I really enjoy this. I'm gonna watch the rest if y'all
Later,
post it somewhere.
Yeah, the link is already in the Discord.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Nice talking to you again. Thank you.
I'm mostly with you on something, even like the feeling stuff. I'm with you on that. I want to feel what the character feels. It's not going to be the same as if a real person comes in here and points a gun at me. It won't
Sure.
be that kind of fear, not hallucinating, but
As close as
I'm
possible.
into
though.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway, fun stuff. I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you,
Cool.
man. Have a good one.
See you around.
I would like to take that hook that David left. And if I'm derailing the natural, organic conversation, you guys tell me. I'm still thinking in what is the main difference of, when you get an immersion through Arch gaming and when you get an immersion through 4D role playing. Once again, because it's very hard to quantify, but that's what I'm hung up on, because that was the point you brought, right?
Yeah.
I would like, if we can go back to like that matter of being in character, feeling like the character, not breaking immersion. I think we can still suss out some details on that.
Okay.
Such as the getting as close as you can to feeling like the character. When I use the word feeling, I'm saying thinking as much as, I think that when you try to think like someone else, by nature you end up kind of feeling what would be like, right? If Zonalar suffered like a car accident and I try to think, oh, what was it like? Naturally, but by nature I'll think, man, it would hurt, like if it hit me by the side. Like, can you imagine breathing and feeling the pain? Like you I think that's part of the brain does that automatically.
Yes.
So when you say like, getting as close as you can, like, and if I'm strawmanning you, call me out. Is that like jumping into like the VR world where like you forget yourself, or are you describing something else?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you could call it that. I mentioned the Matrix earlier, so yeah, it's pretty much VR. Someone up here in the comments said, this isn't a full VR bodysuit thing, and I'm saying, yes, it is. Like 4D isn't full VR bodysuit, and I say they're missing out. I say I want the full, the 5D, the whatever. I want role feeling. I want to feel like I'm totally in the Matrix, and that I believe that it's real.
So why aren't
That's
you
interesting.
wearing the clothing of the character?
We'll see.
Why aren't you doing your hair like your character? Why aren't you putting on the makeup or the spectacles? It's the question is, where is the line?
Where's the
why
line?
does it stop at the table?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does it stop sitting down in a chair instead of going outside into the woods, getting naked, pretending to be a druid?
Right.
Can I add so you can like deal with both of our points without being interrupted? Like Rody said, like, I don't want to feel like I got punched in the gut by a monster, because that's when I think when like, because that discussion has been thrown in the Discord, like, if you could jump like into the VR and like do the Sword Art Online thing where you feel what the character feels like, would you do it?
Yeah,
personally, I wouldn't, because most of the time I will play some scenarios I'm like, yikes, like I'm glad I'm not really like in that situation, though I'm still getting the kick of being trying to think what it's like to be in that situation, like the example I gave of 5e, like I don't want to be like a goblin who is subservient to like this 2.5 meters tall orc who beat me, cut my ear off if I don't obey. Like I don't want to be a slave, But I get the kick of trying to think what would it feel like and play that out, So I'll give you the time to address both.
It seems like there are three things on my mind, and I'm a visual spatial thinker, so I'm like seeing them as three literal points, but I can't read what they say. I just see them, so I'm going to try to get this out.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Okay. A few things. A while ago, Zonalar was saying something like, as children, we can just roleplay, we jump right in, shouldn't be hard, right? My response to that, long overdue, is I fully admit that the Arch game is a lofty goal. It's not for everyone. I compare it to being an elite sports team where you're not showing up to have fun. You're not showing up to have a good, nice time. It's not easy. It's not relaxing. And it's not something that a child can do. I fully admit that. You can call it gatekeeping, you can call it elitism. I fully admit that this super, like, taking the rapids underneath the water is not for the faint of heart. Like, I fully admit this, right? It's not for everyone. It's not easy. Secondly, the full, like, I think you said Sword Art Online, full immersion, getting hit by it. I would like to do that, right? That's what the Arch game is I want you to actually feel what the character feels when you are playing a Conan-like character and you're killing dragons and building your empire and being awesome, and someone comes in and kills your wife or kills your favorite general or takes you and binds you and throws you in prison and puts you on the tree of woe or something, right? I want you to feel hatred. I want you to be like, oh my goodness, I've worked so long to build my empire and he's taking it away from me. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to kill this guy. What gods do I have to swear oaths to get this guy, right? I want you to feel it. I want full immersion. That, like, the guys on the side saying, I don't want to get, I don't want to feel like I'm getting punched by a monster. I do. And that's the difference. That's totally okay. You do you, I'll do me. But I'm saying that I like the absolute full immersion. Now, that's only 2 of my points. I forget the first one. Or I forget the third one.
The question, I had one question about running into the woods and getting naked. Why not do that?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so that is the question. So the goal is full immersion, right? So we have a question, which methods achieve full immersion, right? I'd say physical methods can achieve that full immersion only insofar as the physical methods agree with the immersion, agree with the pretend world. So if you want to dress up in the clothing that the character dresses up in because your physical world matches the imagined world, go right ahead, right? But in my experience, the physical can only go like 1% of the way, right? The tiniest amount. I'm not going to focus on making the physical feel real because I know it's never going to be able to go the whole distance. So instead, I look to the most powerful tool we have, which is our imagination. And I say, well, if the physical world can only do like 1%, why even bother? I know that the imagination can do 100%. I'm going to choose this because I know this can go the distance. So I say you imagine your character, you imagine everything you can, you think, sure, I like that 1%, like breathing hard, the whatnot. Like I personally, you saw in my 40 game, I, cock my gun and shoot it and I swing my sword, right? I do a little bit of physical because I like that. And, sure, I could dress up if I had the money, but, those are nice. There's like 1%, 5%. But the reason why I don't say, well, you have to physically do it is because I know the physical will never actually achieve. Like, you're never going to actually physically look at a real world that's fantasy, but you can imagine it. So I'm going to put the burden on your imagination and not on the physical world.
I think this is a pit trap again. And I didn't think I would say this, right? Because I agree most of the points with you. I agree with your imagination is incredibly powerful. It allows you to imagine those moments. And one of the points that I've had before that I want to loop back in is that's the power of the suspension of disbelief. Like, children don't have a problem because they don't have to suspend their disbelief. They're just that naive. They can jump right in. There's nothing that contradicts what they're imagining in the real world. And as we get older, we learn more about reality and are like, oh, that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And it gets harder and harder. And we kind of have to protect and nurture this whimsical feeling of imagination and like nurture that. And I think as a creative or as creatives, I don't want to single myself out. I think this is common enough for anyone that takes any creative pursuit. You realize, all right, I need to have like a breathing room to imagine something and make it a reality, whether it's painting or masonry or like a carpenter or whatever the tool is for this. And for our case, I think it's role play. And the big thing about why like it's a pit trap to cancel out the physical experience is if you go out into the woods to sleep outside in a tent, you can actually experience what that feels like. What does a campfire feel like? You don't know if you've never been at a campfire, the camaraderie with a group of other young people at a campfire playing the guitar. It's those experiences that fill your imagination. It's nourishment. And it's cool. So that's why I don't make fun of LARPers that go out into the world pretending to be a character. I enjoy that because I think, okay, they're trying to gain that experience of what would it be like if we are in a medieval tavern and play it out and gain new insights that they can, that nourishes their imagination.
Exactly. And then they can transfer that over to their table games. I completely agree. If you have not watched enough movies, played enough games, LARPing, played outside as a child, whatever, if you have not actually nourished your imagination and taken in enough media and whatnot, then your role playing is going to suffer because you don't have any storehouse to draw from. I totally agree.
All right. Okay, good. So that point is great. I guess the other part of, like, why not go naked into the woods? What's really to find the line of why is the line drawn at the table where we are all sitting down as out of shape nerds? Well, you're in shape, as I'm the out of shape nerd, right? Why are we drawing the line at the table? Why are we not going outside? Why are we not using something else? And it's to find out the reason of what makes Arch games special. Because if almost nobody can play it, it's not very useful. And I see this from a pragmatic standpoint. I see myself like, okay, I'm a practitioner. I just want to play the games. I don't want to like theorize about the most best possibly use of my time in a role-playing game. I just want to see those in action and do it. That's why I gravitated to 4D, because I could just do it. I saw it, I tried it, I had some troubles, and then I like, you know, the switch flipped and it clicked, and now I can run sessions and play games. It's absolutely no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and good for you.
So if it's not practical, that's the point where I find it really difficult to see value. And I think I see value in the aspirational pursuit of the best role-playing experience, and that I respect. I absolutely respect that, and I hope to see you succeed with this.
Thank you.
Because it would be amazing. I mean, this would be the next big thing that blows this entire genre wide open, makes you a millionaire, you get rich, and then you go to Hollywood like Gary Gygax to get some, I don't know, some
not going to
actors
Hollywood.
like you a lot.
Not going to Hollywood, not doing that. No, thank you. But yeah, thank you, Zonalar. I appreciate it. I do, you know, I have 5 million words written over the last 4 years of all my game design documents and whatnot. So I, on my end, look at it and say, I firmly believe this is the next big thing. I think D&D is, you know, however big D&D is, worth $1 billion, whatever. D&D is a certain amount of bigness after 50 years. Give me 50 years, I think my thing will be just as big as D&D is today, right? I think bigger, okay? So that's my thing. I firmly believe it. I look at, you know, all my stuff, which I can't prove, but like I look at my stuff and I say, I'm confident this can go the distance. And so I really appreciate you saying, you know, I see some value in this. If you can succeed, this will be great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I want to see see those training sessions in your system, because since you say that there's a big burden on the players of information on the rules and the playing experience to really get into it, so there's gonna be a ramp up time. At least that's what I imagine, because I don't see any player sitting down by themselves in the room be like, yeah, I just download that all into my Matrix brain. You know, now I know Arch gameplay, like I know Kung Fu.
It's not easy. It is the elite sports team. And Zonalar, you may look at 4D and be like, I'm perfectly happy with 4D. I don't care about your elite sports team. I don't care about getting the golden trophy at the Olympics. I don't care. Not my hobby. Perfectly fine, right?
It's the thing of getting into the rapids, getting pulled into another world.
All that work.
I get that with 4D. So, and you're telling me, no, this is unique to your gaming experience. I need you to prove me wrong before I can accept that in your reality, right? Like, you're saying your cheeses, then show me your hands. Show me the steaks.
Yeah, you know? show me the miracles, right? Where are your miracles?
Exactly. Where's the miracle? Or what's the snake? So is this just another snake says? But I don't believe that at all, by the way. I think you believe what you're trying to achieve, because any creative has to really push their work to the next level. You have to believe it.
I delusionally believe in my own work. Yes, absolutely. Yes. But as I was saying, you know, it may not be for you. But there could be a guy like Nick where he's like, I don't know, that sounds interesting. That might be for me, right? And I want to present all the options, because right now people know about 1D, 2D, 3D, and some people know about 4D. Nobody knows about role filling. Nobody knows about the Arch game. And so I just want more options out there. I want to say, hey, Nick, do you want to be on an elite sports team? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. But holding that trophy at the end of the Olympics is going to be awesome. Do you want to come on? Right? I'm not saying that it's the right way to play. I'm saying it's the right way to play for me, and I think it's the most rewarding. It is the best. You're gonna be famous. Like, who wouldn't want to win the Olympics, right? That's me. Like, according to my values, I value the immersion and the thrill. XYZ. I value these things. According to my values, that is the ultimate fulfillment of my values. That is the best thing. And other people might agree. And I'm just trying to spread it to find who agrees.
So I think I now understand when you say full immersion arch gaming. I think I got the view. So I'll spill it back to you, and I want you to tell me if I said something wrong. Okay, it's just so we are completely on the same page, talking the same language. Okay, so the idea of, I'll call it arch gaming, full immersion, as you put it, is getting as close as, and when I say as close as, I mean like if you can get to 100%, you go 100%. Feeling like the character, not only thinking like the character, but feeling. So if the character is frustrated, I feel physically frustrated. Like I feel inside of my gut the same way I would feel if I'm really frustrated. And I keep that throughout the duration of the game. Is that correct?
Yes, among other things. There are 4 whole ingredients to the arch game. You have mentioned 2 of them, but yes, those 2 are important, yes.
Okay, so I would like you to refresh on the other 2 ingredients, and because my question is, what is the actionable thing I have to do to achieve arch gaming, you know? Because in 4D, we say, in order 4D, we can like kind of break it to say what you say where you are, and say what you do. If you keep those 3, you'll be in character for the duration of the game. Like, what would be your actionable steps?
What's my step-by-step? Right. Okay. It's a great question. It's a big, long answer. As I said, elite sports team. It's something that literally actually takes time to practice over and over again and internalize. So it's muscle memory, or mental muscle memory. It's not easy. It is a lot of steps, and you have to do them over and over and over again. This is a years-long hobby to actually fully, get this. To get the gold at the end of the Olympics, you spend years training. I fully admit this. It's not going to be easy. But first of all, we have the 40. Say I'm gonna switch to my screen share right here for a second. Do y'all see this?
It's a blank page.
It's empty.
Just empty. Well, maybe this. That work?
Now we are all gone, by the way.
We're all gone.
You have to click like below. It says as a guest. You have to click that and add on stage.
Oh, I need to add. I get.
And then because you were moving the layouts, the camera layouts, not really the. So you go back to what we were like with the shows everyone, and then you click on put on stage.
How about this?
We're still in the void.
We are all still gone.
You're still blank. Come on. Yes. Add to stage. All right.
There you go. But now we can only see the thing. We don't see ourselves. But yeah.
Yeah. Show the faces of us.
Okay, I'll show the faces. I will show the faces. We're gonna put there.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Beautiful. Cool. Perfect.
So hey, I'm learning. All right. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I am having so much fun. I love you guys. This is great. All right. So this is an old version of my character sheet. It still has the old name on there. We have our 4 actions here: move, achieve, speak, and think. This is not only your actions in combat, because again, I don't want any, meta mechanics. I want all of the mechanics to feel like just pure roleplay, right? So your move action is you moving, right? Your achieve action is the thing you do with your arms. It's your main action. It's what you achieve. Your speak action and your think action. These are actually mechanical actions in the game. You can spend your speak action to, like make a charisma check, make an intimidation check, right? In D&D, they say that's your action. If you make an intimidation check, you can't attack. I'm like, huh? Right? That's another thing where it makes no sense, right? So I actually make that a different action. And in the same way D&D has, skill checks like history, nature, and whatnot. That's your think action. You're thinking back on something, right? So these are your 4 actions in combat. But they are also reminders of out of combat role playing. Move action is where are you? Say where you are. Achieve action, say what you do. Speak action, say what you say, right? It's literally on the sheet as a reminder, both in game and out of game. So anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. Both in combat and out of combat. So my game is very much focused on the combat and the role play, and it all looks very 4D. It's all the exact same. It functions the exact same way. I know achieve was the best I could come up with, Jason. Okay. I forgot where I was going with this.
I asked about what would be the action steps. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. You know how if there's a glitch in the matrix, if there's any one thing wrong, people wake up and they notice, they say, hey, something's wrong, right? All it takes is one little crack in the matrix and the whole thing breaks. So for the Arch game, you have to have all of the quadrants of the Arch game, everything there at once, as well balanced as you possibly can. So it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's all of them at once. It's one big thing where you have to do all of the steps simultaneously all the time for 4 hours. See, again, elite sports team. It's not easy, but that's my thing. So if I were to give you a few of the steps, first, the most important thing is the setting. You have to have a setting like I haven't actually purchased Dolmenwood, but I've heard a lot about Dolmenwood where it's so fully fleshed out. And on the online version, you can click on each individual hex, and it's hyperlinked to the right page and has all the information. The setting is fully fleshed out as far as I know, right? You have to have a setting like that, and maybe better because, again, I haven't actually vetted it myself, but you would have to have a setting that is so consistent, perfectly fleshed out, and moves on in time like clockwork, where it's not just a setting of this is year 1005, this is year 1005 to year 1305. You would have to have at least 100 years of not history, but moving forward in time. Here's 100 years of all the motivations of the characters. This is what this dragon is going to do. This decade, that one, this decade, that one, and that one. Here's the king. Here's what he wants to do. Here are his motives. Here's what his son is going to do, etc. You would have to have a big, long thing because my game system takes place over, as much time as you want, right? So super fleshed out setting with a lot of time. Everything runs like clockwork, right? Perfectly simulated. I'm a big Alexander McCree's fan. Perfectly simulated world has to be 100%, probably better than any other setting you've ever played, right? Very, very simulated. And then it's the arbiter's job, the GM, I call him the arbiter. It is the arbiter's job to run all that in the background perfectly objectively, right? So you have to have that. When you have that,
hold on a small second here, because you did also say that the players need to know all of that information about the world so they can stay immersed in their character, right? So they can interact with that world. And their character makes sense in that world.
They don't have to know all of the information that the arbiter does. They just have to know the information that their character would.
All right. So you're never allowed to make any assumptions because your assumption might be wrong. And then the illusion breaks.
Well, you can make assumptions. People make assumptions in real life all the time, and they're wrong. So I wouldn't say that's immersion.
At your gaming table. What if a player makes an assumption? He goes to the bathhouse, but the settlement isn't big enough, and this culture wouldn't have bathhouses in their location. Would you stop the game or allow it to exist?
So ideally, if the player is doing their part in the arch game, they say, I look around for a guard, and I say, there's a guard, underneath the lamppost, a few feet away. I walk up to the guard. Hey, is there a bathhouse nearby? And the guard says, no bathhouse here. That's it. The game isn't stopping. That's just how the interaction would go. He doesn't say, I go to the bathhouse. And he can say, I go for bathhouse. And I say, there's none visible after, 5-minute walk, etc. And so the game isn't stopping. He's just stating in action, I go for bathhouse is pretty much, I look for bathhouse, same thing. So the game doesn't stop right there. It's just, that's how it's run. Okay, so back to the steps, right? The many, many, many steps. When the arbiter has a fully simulated world and it runs like clockwork, and he's not fudging and he's not doing whatever he wants, he's just running it like clockwork, so the players can know this is a perfectly consistent world. It's like brick. I can knock on it, it's not going to move. It's not Jello. It's not an illusion. It's a real world. Okay. We're not rolling random encounters. There's actually an owlbear that lives in that forest. And if I walk that way, there's a chance that he might be there. It's no quantum ogres, nothing, perfectly simulated world, right? When you have a perfectly simulated world, that allows the players to achieve the first quadrant, which is immersion into the setting, into the world, right? Verisimilitude, feeling like the world is real. That is the first immersion. It's feeling that the world is real, right? And of course, there are characters that you can't have anything that breaks that immersion. The characters that you make can't be, Bob from Back to the Future, right? It obviously has to be a character in the world that would live in that place, etc. But so your whole experience when you're in there, when the GM says, all right, you're in session, you're standing in a tavern, you have to feel that this is a completely real place. That's the first quadrant, the first step.
Okay, so good. I don't want to cut your train of thought. Kind of taking on the same question as Zolar made. So I think we agree with the bathroom example. You can just, how would you know in a world, if you go to a place you don't know, you want to find a bathroom, you ask someone, right? Or you start looking around, you just probe the world naturally. Cool. What would it be like? Because you have this established world and it's very well developed. There are things that I know about Brazil because I live here, right? So I I know what's socially acceptable to do in certain situations. But let's say you're playing a character from Brazil, you don't have the same insight I do. How would you probe the world? Or rather, if I'm an elf in the Arch world, like I should know elf stuff because I grew up, amongst the elves. How would I probe in character for that moment? Because even if I take my time to like study the homework, like study the things, the document, I'm not gonna be 100% there, right? Even how would you do that without having to ask you, the GM, right? Stop,
Yeah.
hey GM, like how does that work? How would we handle that?
How would we handle that? It's a great question. I love it. That actually reminds me of something that Zonalar said earlier. He mentioned, as a child, you have this childlike sense of wonder and you have the suspension of disbelief because you don't yet know how the world works. That's why the world is wondrous. One of the stated goals, my mission statement, one of the many lines of my mission statement for the Arch game is re-achieving a childlike sense of wonder, right? I was almost going to put that as like a tagline underneath the setting book, right? The setting itself is what I call grand fantasy, which means from the ground up, we wreck every single assumption you have about a fantasy world, right? The world is actually, like, I can't even get into it, but like completely every single assumption you think about a planet, what a planet is, what a world is, what you're even on, I completely wreck all of it and remix it and make something new. I call it grand fantasy, the fulfillment of fantasy, in my opinion, right? So the absolute ultimate way to play on it, again, elite sports team, is you literally take players at the start of time, at the start of the world when the world was created, and they start as like Adam and Eve, the first people that come up, and they have no idea what the heck is going on. And you introduce the world diegetically, immersively, like this is a world, like the start of my world, the start of when humans woke up and whatnot, the world was actually made of flesh. It was like 12 massive bodies together. So your trees are actually like hair follicles sticking up out of the ground and whatnot. The ground is like, bumpy skin and whatnot. It's a totally weird world, total grand fantasy, totally wacky. And so the players have no idea what's going on, and the characters have no idea what's going on. That's by design. They get to discover it. They don't get to make any assumptions because they know I can't make any assumptions at all. This world is nothing like anything I've ever seen, and nothing like my character has ever seen. Boom. Perfect diegetic immersion.
So
and then,
you would... Oh, sorry.
And then they play generations. They play their children and their children and their children through 9,000 years of history. And so they get to build on that and go and go and go and go. That is the ultimate way to play the Arch game. You literally start from the dawn of the world and you learn information as you go. And the really cool thing is the world is constantly changing. It gets terraformed to turn into like a more, regular elemental plant world. And that there's this giant conflict between humans and elves and whatnot, and you get to live it. You get to be there as a human. And I'll think, yeah, these elves come in on their skyship and they start terraforming the world and turning it into like rock and stone and tree. And they're literally like killing Mother Earth, which to you is like a living flesh planet. Like this is your mother, and they're killing it. And you as the players get to react to that. I'm a human. I'm full blood. What does this mean to me? And you get the full experience of living through this world and going through the entire thing. And the cool thing is, if you play 1,000-year-old elf that lives 1,000 years, you actually get to live 1,000 years of history as the same character if you survive, right? That's something that no other game offers. It's, as Zonalar said, the thing that'll blow the hobby wide open. It's like, wait, you can have a setting that has literally 9,000 years of history and it runs like clockwork and it's already laid out and the players come in there, they get to live the whole thing. Oh my goodness, right? That's why I'm so excited. I see it and I say, this is the coolest thing anyone's ever thought of.
If you're successful.
If I'm successful.
I understand now. So this would not be the type of game where like you jump into a scenario, you create you do session 0, like, oh, we're gonna play like these guys in this place. To properly play an Arch game and achieve the Arch immersion, you have to do this way, right? You have to start from the Genesis and like little by little advance. Is that correct?
That is the best way, the ultimate way. You could do a secondary way. There is another way. So the whole isekai thing where someone is taken from the real world and thrown into the fantasy world, that's one excuse that people use where it's like, oh, the character doesn't know anything about the world and the viewer or player also doesn't know anything about the world, right? That's full immersion. You feel like the character, you have their experience, right? I looked at that and said, I don't want isekai, but I want that. I want what isekai achieves. So in my world, as I said, things are constantly changing, but based on times and weather and season and year and ages and eras, things are constantly changing like clockwork. It's totally morphing. As I said, it's a flesh world one day, and then 150 years later, it's a different world. So you could play a character born right on one of those times when the age changes and magic changes and the world changes and everything's totally different, and you grow up not knowing what the heck about this world, and your parents don't know anything about this new world, so they can't teach you. So you're here like a brand new baby, childlike wonder. I wonder what this world's about. And then the next era, 150 years later, changes again. And then the next era changes again. So you're constantly on your toes, and you constantly have a sense of childlike wonder because you're like, this is the most fantastic world I've ever seen. It keeps changing. I can't keep track of it. This is awesome. And you get to experience it over and over again. But then it changes before you get bored of it.
All right. So I wrote down several notes here. And I want to take some time to go through them because we are moving at a rapid pace, which I think is great. It actually shows that you put a lot of thought into this, and I don't want to invalidate that, right? I think I am, what would we call it? I think I'm a pessimist by nature. Like,
oh, you don't say.
Yes, you're like, oh, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be great. And I think of at least 12 problems that will pop up that will ruin your day. So here is my first thought of, I'm gonna read out some notes. To jog my memory. Creating complicated action economy to keep track of. Demand super fleshed out setting that doesn't contradict itself. Need to know every single detail. Have at least 100 years of history. It has to be a perfectly simulated world. I have that in parentheses. So this is an elite sports team that has no game. That's the biggest problem. Every game that exists can be played by casuals. You know, if you play basketball, you can just shoot the hoops. You can just do some three-pointers. You can also play a full game. Everyone is still casual, but they know the rules. They know the rules. They can look at the rule book. That is something that we say, yeah, you can have a fully casual game in 4D role play. Everyone knows the rules. Sometimes you just like dip out of it or you have a problem. And those are the moments where after the game ends, we talk about it. We got the rule wrong. Oh, over here, that's the thing we could have done. But you've played the full game. And because you can play the full game, you can have people that depart themselves and be like, I want to get more into it. I want to have less moments where we ask rules questions. I want to remove the moments where I have to ask the game master, what do I see in the town? And turn it into, I just look around. I look for the bathhouse. I ask the guard for the bathhouse. And this is how you create elite role players. We have the rules that everyone can play. And through play, they learn, they practice. We got the training sessions to get them to practice. We got the rule books so they can read on it and can ruminate on it. And we got the live plays, basketball playing on the TVs that people can watch and see it in action on how it plays out. And we use different systems. It's like playing basketball, but it's also Super Mario. So you play it in the lava world, and you play basketball in the ice world, and you play basketball on a meadow, on a field meadow, and like different backdrops, and see, can we still play basketball here or not, right? And I think this is why it's useful. So everyone can play tennis, become better, and dropping the ball less often. Everyone can play, people can improve, becoming elite without out-of-game work, which is the thing I picked up on of what you said. You need to create all of these things, and I think you're comfortable with doing all of that for yourself, but that's going to create a table of one. It's going to create your table that achieves that, but it won't be able to share with anybody else because nobody is Archmaster. Nobody is you. It's uniquely for you. I think for a homebrew system, that is okay. For a product to put out into the world, it's a big problem. I got more points. I'm gonna go through a couple of them.
I'll try to remember that one.
Okay.
Go ahead. Keep going.
And it's also being recorded, so you can also go back and see if like some of that. What did he say then?
I want to respond.
Okay, fantastic. So part of this world is breaking down the assumption of fantasy and rebuilding them. I think is in complete contradiction to letting players be immersed into the world, because you're destroying all assumptions. I mean, that was part of the description before, right? Destroying all the assumptions to rebuild them is a really bad habit to actually get players to play. The play part is lost in that sauce. And turning the game into world creation or domain play, like big movements like terraforming, isn't really part of a role-playing experience. It can be, and I think there's a niche for that, but it's a different experience that most people don't look for. And there's like this paradox. My last note, I'll stop after that. The paradox of needing to know everything so you can play the game knowing nothing, while also having everything constantly changing. I call it a paradox because I don't see how both things can be true at the same time. And that's why I really want to see the actual play, because that's the most important part. If this is not a paradox, then it can happen. If it never happens, I don't believe it.
Totally fair. And I really appreciate you, Zonalar. I like critics that are actually intelligent and can say, hold on, there's a problem here. I see this. I
don't know about intelligent, but I'm a critic, all right.
You're intelligent enough for me. You're intelligent enough to give me, a good run. I appreciate it. Nick, do you have anything you want to add before I answer?
It's about another point, so you can, finish that idea.
Thank you. All right. I think you raised 2 points here. One is really 1 point. I have 2 points in response. One is the scalable product, where you're saying, how does this scale? Any game scales from like one-on-one, shooting points, shooting hoops, to a group, a couple kids, and then a whole game, but then elite sports team, right? If the only product,
the thing is, the game exists, but people can pick up the ball and play with each other, whether they are in the elite sports team or not. And your game says, no, the whole game is an elite sports team. It's not possible to approach this in a casual way in the first place, which is why I think it's a useful sport. It's a useless sport at that point.
Yeah, because
I mean, that's a criticism. It might be good for you, but I don't think it's worth striving towards. I guess it would be the criticism.
I understand the criticism would be valid. I think if this is going to sound like rude, like it would be valid if it applied. No, I'm not trying to be rude. So I haven't I've been describing the Arch game, which again is not the system. The Arch game is the system combined with a method of play, right?
Yes.
So the Arch game itself is that elite sports team, right? But you can still play the game system. It is scalable. The game system itself, Arches of Apsildon, you can sit down and play it just like D&D. You can play 2D in Arches of Apsildon. You can play 3D. You can play 4D in Arches of Apsildon. Or you could put in the work to play the Arch game in Arches of Apsildon. So the product itself is perfectly scalable. You can sit down and casually play it. You totally can. And my second thing, and again, I don't fault you for not knowing that because I hadn't said it yet. But yes, I have thought of this. It is absolutely scalable. You don't have to play the Arch game to play Arches of Apsildon, right? My system is totally playable without the Arch game. So there's that. My mind is thinking of other things. The next one I wrote down, childlike immersion, which I think your point was something like, if the world is always changing, but you have to know everything, but it's always changing, it's a paradox, right?
The paradox of needing to know everything so you can play the game knowing nothing, while also having everything constantly changing.
Right, exactly. That, to me, isn't really so much of a paradox, because I look at children. And again, the Arch game, like the whole thing is, I want you to re-experience your childhood a second time. I want you to have a childlike sense of wonder. And so a child doesn't know how anything works. It's constantly changing. Things are updating all the time. They have more understanding. They're 7 now, and now they're 8, and they understand more things. But that doesn't break their immersion. In fact, children are the most immersed in the world, and they're not meta thinking at all. They're just like in the moment. Everything is so real and so vibrant and so vivid to them, even though they don't understand anything, and it's constantly changing. So I don't see that as a paradox at all if you do it right.
Okay, that if you do it right, does all of the heavy lifting for you, which needs to be broken down. And like my immediate pushback is, but I can do the same with Lord of the Rings. I just use that setting. I have my assumptions, I watch the movies, I didn't read the books, it's good enough. Why do I need to do all of this extra work to break down all of my assumptions about this fantasy world to role-playing and adopt brand new ones?
You don't. It'll be easier on you if you do, but you don't have to. Again, the reason why we have the grand fantasy world that's constantly changing is to lower the burden on the players. Because if you, Zonalar, want to go roleplay the Lord of the Rings in the Arch game method, if you want to Arch game the Lord of the Rings, you have to know everything that your character would know about, the world, right? If you play a Hobbit and Hobbiton, you must know all of the lore that Hobbit would know. And that's a big burden on each player. That's why I create the grand fantasy world, so there's not as much of a burden. So it's not necessary, but it makes it easier on you, the player. But you could totally Arch game.
So
Lord of the Rings.
I think I understand that point of view. Okay, you create a new world so people can come in with new assumptions, or like with no assumptions, so they are open to what is happening in this world and it doesn't contradict previous movie experiences, or, oh, I read that book and they did it differently. And now you're thinking about, oh my God, this world doesn't make sense anymore. That's like a big problem with role-playing Warhammer 40K with fucking nerds, because they constantly know, like, oh, this one book like said this, but this one book said that, and which one of us real? Just stop thinking about it, and you have a better time role-playing there, right? That would be the one thing. But the other thing is, but why waste away this collective knowledge about culture, about stories that we've picked up over the years, about like fantasy worlds that we like? And why are we tossing them all out of the window when we can use them to draw upon for this fiction?
We're not tossing them out at all. We are remixing. Okay. I am like the worst thief ever. I have stolen every single thing from every single video game in every single world. I go on Reddit. I steal everyone's ideas. I am an absolute, like, steal like a professional.
You got a full bag.
Yes,
I have a bag of stories in the corner.
I have 13 bags. It's ridiculous, right? So one of the other reasons that I really like, my settings and whatnot is because, in my opinion, it is archetypal. You look at it and you see the conflicts in the world and whatnot, and you say, hold on, that feels like I'm looking into the soul of man. Like, this feels archetypal. This like scratches an itch in my brain. This feels like I'm looking at like a mirror version of my psyche. What this world, like the way it's structured and the way that the archons and the planets, and like, this feels right. Like, I recognize this. It feels like it's in my soul, right? That is my experience. When I look at my world, I say, oh my goodness, this is so cool. This is it's just the coolest thing ever. So I absolutely don't throw away everything and make Gonzo stuff. Everything I make is it's just so like visceral and real. It just, I don't feel like I created any of this. To God be all the glory. He gave me all this stuff. I am not smart enough to come up with this. I discovered it. I discovered what are the archetypal patterns and truths. What are the archetypes behind all these stories? Like, what is the sovereign idea, the idea behind the idea? And that is what my world is made of, a bunch of sovereign ideas where it's like, oh, I've seen this in like a dozen other things, but this is the truest version of it. It's like removing the veil of fantasy. I call Absalon the first fantasy, or the ultimate fantasy, or something like that. I forget what I used to call it, but it is the truest fantasy. It is the fantasy of fantasy. That's it. It is the fulfillment of fantasy. Everything else feels like it has been pointing to Absalon. Absalon is the fulfillment of fantasy. It has everything, and it's like everyone has been having a bunch of different puzzle pieces. The Witcher has these 3 puzzle pieces, and Elder Scrolls has these 5, but Absalon is all of them. And you see the image, you're like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's fantasy. That's what everything else is a part of. They're all a part of Absalon. I know it sounds like I'm absolutely insane, and yes, I'm delusionally confident about my own products, but seriously, that's what Absalon feels like.
It's not part of this problem. And I'm sorry, Nicholas, you had a point you said, so I'm driving off to another point, so go ahead.
Okay. I think we're going to ping pong around the topic. There's too many things to tackle. So about I'll read it because I wrote it down. So the Grand Fantasy, going back to I think you used the word optimal way to play the Arch game would be to start from day 0 of the universe, or at the world, I guess, and go little by little. So you have the knowledge. You can pull from the knowledge because you were there, right? When you played the Hobbit, when you played the Elf. Okay. In your book, I imagine you provide like a base setting, right? But do you also give? Would you also give the steps for? If I wanna, I buy the game, I wanna do my own world with my group. Do you provide the steps?
Yes. I'm so glad you asked that, Nick. Man, this is so much fun. Thank you guys, and thank you God. This is awesome. Okay. It's gonna sound like I'm boasting, like, oh yeah, I've solved every single problem in the world. It's like, No,
it just means you thought about it. You brought a solution to the table, which is good.
I do think it is a solution. I think it is the solution. As humble as I can be when saying that statement.
We'll find out, right? Like if it solves a problem, it will have people that want it.
Yeah, exactly. And it is scalable, so it solves the problem for your casual D&D groups. They can absolutely adopt Arches of Absalon, play it in their homebrew game, and it works just fine. And it's better than D&D. You're playing D&D plus, right? That is absolutely an option for those who want it. But then if you want more than that, I offer more. So the question is, can you play it in your homebrew world? Yes, absolutely, right? so in man, I'm all over the place. Okay, a few different ways of doing this. I guess I'm just going to do stream of consciousness because I can't really organize this right now. First of all, we build this super cool setting and show you like each book isn't going to be like 9,000 years. The book is going to be maybe like 150. So here's the setting book. Here's this era of the world, right? The world has 9,000 years. So here's this era of the world. And we give you all the fleshed out, the clockwork, here's everything that happens. But in the back of the book, we give you the framework that we ourselves develop. Like we have to develop a framework first for the clockwork pieces. And then we give you that blank framework as essentially a blank character sheet, but it's a setting sheet. And we say, here, you can fill in all the details of this with your homebrew world and stuff. And on the next page over, we give you a whole bunch of building blocks, almost like you're building your character and you have a list of feats and a list of spells, right? And you get to add them to your character. We say, hey, here's your blank character sheet, and here are all the cool things. Here's, floating mountains, elves, conflict with, like, we have a bunch of different types of conflicts, like, a kidnapping or a war or a resource war, XYZ, right? We give you all the different, spells, all the different parts of the setting. We give you all the different biomes, all the different terrains, the different races, and we tell you how they interact with each other. So you can fill in that blank character sheet with all your own content from your own homebrew world, or you can pick all the various pieces that we provide for you that are all part of our world. Like our world has flesh plants and flesh landscapes and flesh mountains. So those will be listed. Here you can put a flesh mountain here, and this is, the resources of a flesh mountain, etc. And so you can build your own homebrew world, or you can build an Apsildon world that is your homebrew version of an Apsildon world. We allow you to do both. And we also, icing on top, make it make sense in the world, because again, full diegetic immersion. I want you as the player to really think that you're in the world. So we have these things called fantasias, where the whole world was woken up from a dream. You have all the Ekthros, the Aliadun, which were these like dream angels that were living in a dream world, and they dreamed everything, and it was a paradise because they get to just dream food and dream landscape and dream entertainments and whatnot. Then they made humans, and humans were real. They were awake. And there's this big war and whatnot, but humans essentially wake up a vast part of the world and make it real. They make it awake instead of a dream, right? But there's still lots of people that are dreaming. Some dragons dream, elves dream, titans dream, even humans dream. So they actually create these little dream pockets called fantasias, and they float around the world and whatnot. They're these like rainbow colored things in the sky. You can look up and say, that's a fantasia. And within that fantasia, so a person dreams up every fantasia. So you can have a person in the world named, John, and he has, connected to the dream plane, and he's dreamed up a fantasia. Right? Sorry, person named Nick. There's a person named Nick in the world. He has dreamed up a fantasia. What if it was like this? What if, my setting had all these ideas and whatnot? And they literally dream up a fantasia, and then your group plays as those characters in the fantasia. And they may or may not know that they are in a literal dream, a literal fantasia, but it's all immersive, it's in-game, it's in-world, and they can wake up from that fantasia and drop into the main setting. And so, yes, it's all like, that's my thing, that's my spiel.
I just want to reiterate this because I'm not sure I understand this correctly. The fantasia is like different gods and beings, like otherworldly beings creating the worlds because they're dreaming about it. So this sounds very Cthulhu-esque in that kind of style of creation building. Like, oh yeah, like things happen, then he woke up and now our entire reality is ruined. And you can get out of that dream and go back into Apsildon, like this meta world above the worlds.
You can if you want.
Do I have this just about right?
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be like dark and gothic horror or anything. It can be like, happy dreams, but yeah.
So my concern with this, I say concern, I mean problem, but I'm being nice here. It's if the entire world is a dream, it's kind of meaningless to me. I want everything to be meaningful to my character and what is happening. And then waking up from the dream is, oh, I'm back at the table.
Well, I suppose that's the diegetic thing, since the game is also a dream in your head as a player, right? I think I'm
I think
getting
there's suspension of disbelief. Like I don't need this entire other step because suspension of disbelief does it for me. And it's not like, oh, I'm so crazy that I believe this is real. I know it's not real, but we are pretending it's real. But if I'm also pretending it's real, but I'm also in a fantasy dreamland as well on top of it, so it's not real until I wake up. Or it's real until I wake up, and now it's not real anymore. Which negates, I mean, it's a big problem in video games, so here's the thesis point. It negates the entire experience because now you invalidated everything that happened until the bubble popped. It's all invalidated. It's a problem in video games. People say if they play the entire adventure, then the character wakes up and they think, what Did the last 15 hours of my playing experience not matter anymore? Now they're in a different world, and they get upset at that because of that point of the invalidation.
I understand. I have a few things to say. First,
Go ahead.
have you played the Elder Scrolls, like Skyrim, Morrowind, Oblivion?
Yep.
Okay. Have you felt immersed in them at all? Have you enjoyed that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's how I play them.
Okay.
Until I can no longer like stay warm because it's cold outside and gets annoying.
Okay. So, did you know that the entire Elder Scrolls universe is a dream, canonically?
No.
It literally is. It's a dream. But you have had a lot of fun and been fully immersed and enjoyed it, and it's not invalidated just because you know it's a dream. I don't think it's invalid just because you know it's a dream, because it's real to you. So that's the first point. Secondly, the thing I mentioned with the
Now, I do think it's stupid, now that you told me that. But it doesn't invalidate the experiences I've had. No, I agree with that.
Okay. I'm glad. Okay, so the next one, which is where was I? Just had it. You were saying it doesn't matter, it's invalid. Totally lost it. I was right there.
About Fantasia, the dreams.
Oh yeah, thank you. Let's Zonalar, you're wonderful. You just bring it back. Okay. Nick asked, can you do homebrew? And I mentioned one method of doing homebrew where you can do whatever you want and you can like live in a dream world and whatnot. But also, because we have 9 whole planets in the world, and the one planet is, really big, we are going to, create, setting books and whatnot that flesh out several areas. But there's a whole darn planet there. There are going to be whole continents that I never release content for. It's not going to be fleshed out. You can set your game in that continent. So it is not a dream. This is a real place and a real continent. And you don't have to use the whole dream Fantasia thing. You can just say, oh, yeah, we're in the southwestern continent. So I have both. So if you want it dream, go ahead. If you want it full, go ahead, right? And also, the fact that the world is always changing and it's so crazy and zany and anything happens means, Nick, you can make whatever crazy homebrew you want and it'll fit the world. Because you cannot go crazy enough for Absalon. And if you make something very sane and something normal, it's like, oh, well, this part of the world is medieval fantasy. It's pretty sane and pretty normal, right? Perfectly fine. We know it's going to change the next era, right? Like, it doesn't have to. If you have some pocket of stasis where this continent persists for all 9,000 years and doesn't change, I'm not going to tell you that's not true. Go ahead, right? I'm not going to release a setting in that continent that proves your game wrong, right? I'm only going to release content for the main continent at the top of the world. All the other continents, free to homebrew.
Zonar, let me jump ahead of you, just mostly because it's getting late. It's getting to the time where I cannot reason properly.
I understand.
So
it's 4:30 in the morning.
I'd like to share some thoughts and excuse myself out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So first of all, not even talking about roleplay, talking about game design. I like that you're providing the tools for people to make their own worlds. I think
yes,
when it comes to games, like that's the first thing I look into. Like if you're selling me an RPG, you need to give me the tools, because ideas I have plenty. I don't have the tools, so I think that's a very good game design thing. Super awesome. I've skimmed through one version of your book, and I saw a lot of things I liked. I really liked you went into diet and diet and how each race or species get proper rest. I thought that's good. Someone is actually trying to think what it's like to be the creature. So that is very good.
I want to incentivize you to roleplay. If you're an elf,
yeah,
you get benefits when you sleep in trees. So you as a player are like, oh, are there any trees around? And the other players are like, oh wow, he's roleplaying an elf so well. It's like, no, I incentivized you to play like an elf.
Yeah, and I think that is really cool. I thought that was awesome.
Cool.
I'll probably be stealing that.
I'll let you go right ahead. There's a lot more like that coming.
Oh, awesome. Like Zonar said, I think super cool as well. You have a passion, you have a view, and I think go ahead and keep working on it. It's what we need. We need more authentic stuff and less slop, corpo slop. I think we have plenty of that already. So super awesome.
A lot of cynical role-playing games being released current year.
I think, like you said, externally, if you're looking from outside, like 4D and Arch gaming looks very similar, or might be even like be undistinguishable because it's most what's happening inside of your head, right? So I think it's mostly we have different approaches to the thing, and we get our respective amounts of immersion or role feeling. I'll use the word you coined. I think the only thing I would say, like, I don't feel like I'm suggesting because I'm just a guy, like
Feel free,
everyone
man.
else, but like if you already don't, because again, you can call me out if I'm saying something that you already have, a small document with like the 4 pillars, like more simplified in a way, like can be like 3 pages, so I can look and kind of get a general idea to then like go into your videos or go directly to you and ask, can you explain more in depth about this one part?
Yeah.
Because it makes it easier to tackle. I think that's what most of the guys are curious about now, is like the actionable steps. Like,
Yeah. Like, okay, you're talking a big game. Show us.
I comprehend that, like, maybe you cannot explain all that you've already brewed in your head in one streamline of sentence. That's like fine.
Yeah.
Like that's just how the human brain works. So like make that, or make a short video, just like, again, briefly. It doesn't need to be very in depth, and maybe you can follow up, which I know you have video. So if you already have that video, I would ask you to link to us, because then I will, like, if you say this is the video where I talk about the 4 steps, like I'll watch the whole thing. Otherwise it's hard for me to, like, look through your archive and like pinpoint it.
I understand.
So
yeah.
that would be like the main thing.
My channel is only just really getting off the ground now, and so making a video explaining the Arch game is totally on the docket. I already made one like last year, and it was not very good. Don't watch it. I just was kind of all over the place. So I need to make another one that is very concise. I'll probably need to make like 4 parts, one for each quadrant of the game.
It's definitely worthwhile your time, because if it's
the main point of
evergreen
your game.
content that people can always go back to, of, oh, that's what this entire idea is all about, and the 4 steps to achieve it.
Yes. Currently, my audience is limbo, because I keep referencing, oh, this is part of the Arch game. And I talk about it in comments so much more than I talk about it in video. But I work a full-time job. I just can't make it in a timely manner. That's the only thing holding me back. That's why I don't have the video. It's like I work.
Like, that maxim of, make it exist first. Because, like I said, like, settings come and go, but, like, a style is more substantial. So make it be like the forefront of your channel, I would say. At least that's how I would engage if I found by accident. That's what would grab me. Have that like on display, the 4, you did call pillars or step? I want to use your
so I call them quadrants. The 4 pillars are a different thing. These are the 4 quadrants of the Arch game.
Have the 4 quadrants, like, let that shine to, at least on your channel. Like on your book I would not suggest, because I don't know how to properly do a layout of a proper RPG book. So have that, because I think that's the the killer part of your whole thing.
Yes.
So
I absolutely need to do it eventually, but I want to do it right. I need to script it and write it out and double check it and explain it to other people like this on stream. I need to explain it to people and make sure that all the questions are answered. Like this, it's a process for me to get it fully ready and then release a video with it all there. Okay. But yes, it's on the list.
Yeah, but once again, really cool stuff. Like, I'm happy that we're having like this conversation. I suggested going into a live talk.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too complicated over chat.
Yes. Can you imagine doing this over chat? We never would have got it.
Yeah, like you come off as more ironic than you intend to. So let's have the human element here. But yeah, I'm not a representative of the 4D crew, but I make the analogy that we are the barbecue server. So if you go to the barbecue server and you start talking about like something that's a barbecue, there's going to be pushback. Not necessarily it's like malicious pushback, but it's like, man, we're grilling. Like we don't want to talk about like
Chinese food. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, feel free to still share your ideas and like you get feedback.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like bombard the 4D channel with a bunch of my own stuff. This was one video I wanted to make. It's like I want to get one good conversation, right? So don't worry, I'm not gonna stir the pot too much. I thought this was so fun.
Yeah, but thank you for like just being here, by playing a game with us and having this conversation.
Thank you, Raya, for inviting me. He found me on my channel and he's like, dude, come join our server. And I'm like, thanks, buddy. So yeah, thank you, Raya.
Yeah, I don't know if Zamar is going to excuse himself as well. Should I leave now?
Well, I do have a couple of things I wanted to address, but it's also a long time and super late for me as well.
Yeah,
I'm just not tired because my sleep schedule is all fucked up. So that's a whole different issue.
Yeah, I'm going to call it. I really appreciate you, Nick. I really appreciate you, Zonalar. You've been so ruthless, hammering the game. I love it so much. I really appreciate both of you being here.
All right, so there is a point about we're all talking about fantasy, but if it's a style, does it also work in sci-fi or in the modern setting? Why and why not? Or since we have been focusing on world building and the past and the creation element and the fantasy element of it all, is that needed to play your style?
That's one thing I have not thought about because I don't care at all about sci-fi or fantasy. I have no eggs in those baskets, so I haven't even given it a thought. It might not. I don't know.
I think that's a good answer. It shows a lot of wisdom to admit, no, I don't know about that.
So I haven't thought about
so
it.
I'm super happy with that. Yeah, no worries. I wanted to go to the topic of how I role play. I don't want to belabor the point since we talked about it like an hour ago of like how different peoples have different mindsets, right? I cannot look into your mind how you put yourself into the world. I can express how I put myself into the world. We had the example of I do training sessions to help get there with the other players. And when I role play my character, I am putting the skin suit on, right? Or the less gross way to say it, I step into his shoes and walk a couple of miles, right? That is the metaphor of, put on the sandals, walk a couple miles, see what it feels like to be that guy, to be that person, and experience his life while you're role playing it. And for myself, I made this post to describe my thought process of a couple different steps. Primary, I am being him, I'm expressing my character to the situation. And then I have a layer underneath that of reacting to the world. That is me thinking, oh, it would be fun if I did this. It would be fun if I made a comment about that event that happened. It would be interesting if my character did not witness the stabbing because his back was turned looking through a windowsill at like a beautiful dress that she wants to buy. But that is a layer beneath role-playing. It's a thing I think about if I have enough time at the table as things are happening in the world that I implement or choose to ignore. And the parts of whether I implement it or choose it to ignore is, well, would I do that? Would my character make that comment? Would my character crack that joke? Yes, no. And it doesn't take me out of the character experience. And that was your assertion on the Discord of like, oh, that's meta play. That's you thinking outside of your character. But for me, that comes very naturally. And when it doesn't come naturally, I don't spend energy on it. I let it go. And a key part of it is like grasping it when it comes, letting go when it doesn't fit. And lots of people have a problem of they have an idea, now they're trying to force it into the character of a thing they should be doing in the world. And because it feels forced, it's not natural and you're not really in the skin of your character. I'm not sure if I explained it last point correctly. But
I can respond. But Nick, you don't have to be here if you don't want to.
Okay, then just once again, have a good night. Thank you.
You too, Nick. Thank you.
Right.
I'll be mostly hanging around. Just that critical thoughts. I'm no longer capable of it at this hour.
You, man.
No
I just didn't want you to be like locked in. God bless, man.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I lock him in all the time.
All right, Zonalar. Man, I really like your challenges, your critiques, your questions. That they're great. I'm so glad you found my channel.
I really not appreciate it when I put them on the internet. People are saying like, you're way too harsh to my favorite YouTuber. It's like, well, they're not that good at roleplay. What can I say? That's my shtick.
Look, heavy weights are harsh on your muscles, but they make you grow. So I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Okay. the your thing is, if I'm in this pool and I'm swimming, and I have a snorkel on, right? And I'm going up to the surface, and I'm not actually leaving the surface, but I have a snorkel. The snorkel leaves the surface. I'm still breathing air, but I am still immersed. My head is immersed. My eyes are immersed. I'm in here, but I get to breathe air. And I say, that's still not that's not the full experience. I want you to have the experience of holding your breath underwater through the rapids with the pressure of the world caving in on your chest, and you're not sure if you can hold it. That's the experience I want you to have. And even though you're still technically immersed underwater, you're in the character, you're cheating, you have the snorkel, and that's not full immersion. I understand I understand it's not as bad as sticking your head up, but I still say it is not full immersion. You're still missing something when you have any sort of meta thoughts.
I don't think so. And the reason for that is I'm not just playing one game. I'm playing multiple games. That's why I think this is something that's interesting, that's fun to experience, that is worthwhile to try out in your role-playing games. One of them is I'm fully my character, but I'm also thinking of I'm making sure that all the other players also get the spotlight. That's the pacing part. I'm playing tennis. When the ball comes to me, I don't grab the ball by the hands and keep it for 10 minutes. I toss it back with my tennis racket. I shoot it right back at them because we are sitting at the table. It's a social dynamic happening as well. So that is part of the experience. It's another game that I'm playing. The third game is how do I make my character interesting so that the game we are fully immersed in is fun to play. And that's the part that I think you would support. That's the reason why you have this entire new world, so you can just experience it and experience something fantastical. I say you don't need to play a fantasy to have fantastical moments in a role-playing game. That's why it's totally reasonable to role-play in a modern setting or in a sci-fi setting, or just role-play like a single mom whose husband run away and you're just trying to spin 3 jobs and you role-play that for 3 hours. It's completely valid to play the game. Those are different ways to role-play that are all fully immersive. And I think it's very dismissive of you to say, no, that's not part of full immersion. I'm okay that you think that you have a different definition. I think that's fine. And you're creating a system that supports to achieve this full immersion for your Arch Mastery, which I think would be cool branding. Arch Mastery, learn it here.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's worth to dismiss. And I'm okay if we disagree on this point too. Like, if people watch this in the future, I don't know, 10 years from now, they say, well, C was kind of a dick. I'm totally fine if you disagree with me here.
Oh, yeah. I think you're cool, man. You're chill. You're just... Look, I have way more passionately hammered my points home than you're doing to me. So, don't worry. I can... yeah.
It's true.
Yes. I've been like, you're wrong. So, I'm not offended. Don't worry. Okay. And first off, valid, sure. Like, your fun is valid. You do what you want. If you want to, role play a single mother, you do what you want. I'm not going to come to your house and spank you. Like, you do what you want. But I would say that it's not the Arch game. It is role playing, and role playing is one of the 4 quadrants of the Arch game. But you're not doing the Arch game. You're not in the rapids. And I think I'm okay with that. Sure. That's totally fine. I'm just trying to draw the distinction and say that is fun. That's fine. You enjoy that. Go right ahead. All you want. If you want to, play basketball with 3 of your friends in the street, go ahead. That's not Olympic basketball, right? That's all I'm saying.
Right. That's the whole point. I mean, this is the part of, like, now you're really in pretentious territory here. That's why I said, like, control the control freak GM of he needs to control everything. So he has his perfect moment of a game. And I've tried to do that in D&D so many times. Oh, I want to run this perfect campaign where we can have this beautiful experience that was promised on the box and it always fell apart. Trying to figure out why did it fall apart. Is it D&D? Let's fix D&D. Oh, didn't actually solve the problem. Let's fix my friends. Didn't actually solve the problem. I was ready to walk away. And I realized, no, it's how I approach the game. I'm trying to control too many things. I need to let go of things so that it can flow, so that I can enter the flow state and the other players can enter the flow state. And the rules that we set up is to make sure that it flows in one direction and just doesn't add like a bucket of water on the floor and goes in all directions at the same time and achieves nothing.
Yeah,
that's the rules of like staying in character and I'm not asking any questions. I'm gonna assume something and hope I'm right. I might be wrong, but I'm okay with my character being wrong. I'm okay with my character being wrong. So I'm gonna make an assumption. If my character's wrong, I'm gonna be like, I should have known better. I play it off. And that's a part of rolling with the punches. I make my jabs, and GM blocks and throws a counter punch. I eat it. And keep on going. It doesn't, like, I'm not waving the flag like, guys, can you explain the world to me again? I don't quite get it. No. The bell rings when the session is over. And then we can talk about how the match went. And we can go over the details of like, oh, you could have jabbed here, you could have sagged instead of sagged. And that is part of the iterative learning process that 4D roleplay provides that I see sorely lacking in what you've described so far. I kind of threw that in at the very end there as a big critique point of this whole Olympic basketball team. But you're not playing basketball. You invent a whole new entire way. But that was a point I made an hour ago. I think, like, since it's recorded, it's fine. I don't want to belabor it.
Yeah. So I think the only thing I really have to clarify here is that the whole Arch game, Olympic basketball thing, I'm not putting that on a new player. I'm not saying, hey, Zonalar, go play the Arch game tomorrow, right? If I did, then you would have that experience of, hey, this isn't working, etc. Like all the complaints you just made would totally be valid if I was recommending you just start the Arch game tomorrow. But I'm not. I'm saying you need to work up to it. Like, it's okay to play basketball on the street with your friends. You need to do that. That is necessary. You need to practice. I wouldn't say my thing is lacking. There's no tool set
to work up with.
Huh?
There's no tool set to work up to it, is what I'm saying.
There will be.
This is okay.
My system will have that. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, because that's a part of the experience of role playing, of like playing games of you start, you're not that good, but you can improve.
Yeah, of course.
And 4D role play, that's why I say everyone can 4D role play, children can role play, because they're free of all the habits, of all the assumptions. They don't need to worry about that. So I run training sessions for complete beginners to veterans, for everybody. That gives me an hour of their time to experience it at least once. Because if you experience it once, you can understand it, and then you can make a choice of, oh, but I really prefer to do the number crunching or the rules tactics or the battle map board game play. And they can make that choice as an active decision, instead of being like, well, but I never tried Chinese food before, so I guess it's bad.
Yeah. I understand. We're absolutely going to have, processes and steps and all that stuff that's in the game system itself, in the terms of its complexity of mechanics. We have a very simple, level 0 character, and you get to progress as a character that doesn't have a class, what I call a mantle. And, we have very simple, mechanical stuff where you can have more and more complex mechanics if you want it. And we're going to have the same thing with the style of play, where we say, hey, here's one style of play, collaborative storytelling. Okay, the referee is called the game master. He's in charge. He's curating an experience. This is what most people come to D&D for, is they want a game master to railroad them. And I'll tell them, hey, here's a style of play. It's railroading. Here's your game master. Go ahead, play that if you want. Here's the next better style of play. Here are the steps to achieve this, and here's the next one, and then here's 4D, and then here's the Arch game. I intend to walk them through it and say, here are all the steps. Here's the practice. And I'll tell them, you're not expected to reach the Arch game for a very long time until you've gone through the other steps, right? All of this, the steps, the training, it will all be laid out.
I hope you know. So I want to see this on my desk tomorrow at 11.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Dude, I want it more than you. This is why I'm like, at the end of my last video, I'm like, is there a millionaire out there that can give me some money? I just want to work on Absalon. I just do. I don't want to push carts at Walmart anymore. I want to work on Absalon. Is there anyone who can help me achieve my dream, right? That's,
Yeah, you have to push the Patreon and leave it open to big donors.
Big donors.
Patreon, whatever, super chats, do podcasts, and most importantly, show gameplay. Show it in practice. Nothing convinces people more than trying the fucking hamburger and see if it tastes good.
Yeah, exactly. And right now with my current players, first of all, I don't think all my players would even consent to be recorded and filmed and whatnot. So that's already
that's a thing.
Yeah. So I think in order to show what it's supposed to look like, I would have to spend hours to set up like maybe a multi-camera setup or whatnot, and just like sit in all the different seats and show what it's supposed to look like just with me. Like I put on a different hat to be the different characters.
I don't think that's good enough.
Sure, you're right. It's not good enough, but that's the only practical option that I have to show someone what it's supposed to look like. You have to
do it with people. If you cannot find people, nobody will be convinced. That's a deal breaker. And I have to be real with you because I want you to succeed with this project. Right? If you succeed, it means we have a new era of role players that can enjoy this hobby, and we are finally doing away with D&D crap board gaming that's disguised as role playing and railroads. People can still have that, but it would be a new way to play, and it would be useful. So you need to find people to do it. And if you fail at that step, all the other steps are kind of, I mean, that's why I'm pushing so hard on this. All the other steps are meaningless if you kind of find people that are interested in this. So either it's a problem with your system or it's a problem with marketing, right? Either the product is bad or the marketing is bad. You don't find the right people that might be interested. So the 4D role players should be all over this. You're definitely welcome looking for players in the 4D roleplay community. Hey guys, we have a project section. Hey guys, are you interested in trying out a help me workshop my system? I'm gonna need, like, it's gonna take your attention. It's a bigger thing, and I could really use some support. I think some people will show up, but I also play for fun, so it's like kind of up in the air, and I'm also in Germany over here, so it's a time zone issue on top of it. But I think it's very interesting and worth exploring.
Cool. I appreciate the encouragement. I'm just still really new. My channel's only been here for a year and a couple of months, and I'm only just now making videos with thumbnails. And we all know you get nowhere on YouTube without thumbnails. So I'm really starting my channel in earnest. And so, marketing, you're right. I don't have marketing. Not yet. I
don't want to hear excuses. I want to get answers. It's fine. Like, I understand the trials and tribulations. My channel has 170 subscribers. I ran my first podcast, Inside Roleplay, and the last section of it is addressing the min-max drama that happened. And I thought, well, it's drama. People watch drama. Let me clip this as its own video, 20 minutes. And people showed up. It was first time I got 2,000 viewers, and all they had to say is, you got all the information wrong, while they also ignored everything I've said in the video at the same time. YouTube is a fickle beast.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into any sort of drama at all. I plan to stay far away from that.
Yes, but healthy for you to avoid it.
Yes, exactly. I want this to be a big company that actually employs people and is on good terms with everybody. Because the way to do that, I'm just going to focus on the game. Not going to talk about politics. Not going to talk about drama. It's just the game. That's all I care about. I'm not going to tell you anything else. I just give a game. You want my game? No. Well, here's the game anyway. That's going to be
that's productive.
Yeah. But yeah, all the rest, it's coming. Don't worry, Zonalar. I'm working on it.
I'm very interested. Send me I don't know. Can I even download this from your channel if it's unlisted? Send me the file after that. I would love to put this on my channel if you're okay with that. But
sure.
If you don't want that,
absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm technically recording on StreamYard or Stream. Yeah.
You will have the YouTube video on your YouTube unlisted,
and I can download it from YouTube.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Then I'll do that and I'll send it to you. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's fantastic. People have been asking for 30 minutes, like, what are the fucking 4 quadrants?
Oh my goodness, you're right.
They want to know the 4 quadrants.
Okay.
We're just letting them, hanging them out to dry.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Please, sir.
Feel free to spam your work. I appreciate that.
And Space Woody said, what is step 2? You didn't even say step 2 yet.
Like, sorry, what are the 4? I missed it. Like, no, you didn't miss it. We didn't say it. These 4 people just pestering us. Okay. If you'll allow me, I'll just see if I can just go through.
For sure.
Okay. First quadrant is full simulation, verisimilitude, the realness of the world. And when you have that running well, like clockwork, then that allows the player to be fully immersed into the world itself, right? They're not necessarily immersed into their character. That's another step. But they feel like the world is real, right? Next step, quadrant 2, is full immersion into the activity, usually in combat, but this can also take place in other, other scenarios, other encounters and whatnot. Immersion into combat, the flow state, the zone. I want you to be on the edge of your seat. I want you to be afraid. I want you to be like, okay, I have these abilities, these feats, these whatever. Again, you as a player get to choose how complex your character is. You can put all your eggs in one basket and have a very simple character, or you can diverse. It's up to you. But you're like, I have these abilities.
Feeling the fear and feeling the adrenaline, really feeling the combat. Oh, I'm in danger.
That makes you focus, because humans, they've done study on human brains and psychology and whatnot. We feel best when we are focusing on one thing, when we're not distracted. Our brains have like, it's not technically painful, but we have like painful chemicals, uncomfortable chemicals in our brain when we try to focus on two things, when we split focus. So they've done studies when human just focuses on one thing and they're in the zone, that's a good time. They enjoy it. Time passes quickly. They're locked in, right? This is one of the reasons why my game is decently crunchy. This is one of the reasons why I don't take the rules light approach where D100 roll under in order to prioritize roleplay. I don't prioritize roleplay. Roleplay is one of the four, but I also want you to look at a decently beefy system that has a decent amount of options, and there's a decent threat, and you're like, okay, I've got to pick this option. I've got to, dodge this threat. He attacked me. All right, I move. I dodge out of the way. That uses a resource. Okay, I want you to have that frantic, like, man, I'm trying to play. And the reason why I don't think that is unimmersive at all is because that is exactly what the character is doing. The character is saying, okay, I'm going to get tired in this fight. I only have so much energy, right? That's resource management. I only can swing my sword so many times. The sword only does so much damage, right? I've been trained how to do a trip. So maybe I can trip this guy. I can do a trip maneuver. Maybe I can disarm him. I don't know. What should I do? Like, if I disarm him, I won't have time to attack him, right? Those are all immersive thoughts. That's all something the character is thinking. I don't find that unimmersive. I don't find a mechanically crunchy game to be unimmersive. I think you can totally role play. On the contrary, it's when it has a decent level of crunch, it's actually it brings you into the zone and you're focused. And you're like, okay, I have these these paper buttons. You have to have a decent amount of fun paper buttons to push, right? So yeah, that's the second quadrant: thrill, immersion, in the zone, danger, tension. I'm focused, and when the fight's done, I'm like, whoa, right? That's what I want. That's the second quadrant, right? Immersion into the world, immersion into the activity, the zone. Third quadrant.
Okay.
It is immersion into this is the one where it's kind of nebulous and I don't have like one specific word for it, but it's immersion into the emotion, the realness of it, the character aspect of it. It is your relationship with the other players, with the other characters rather. It is the drama. It is the emotional bleed. You really feeling love for that person and hate for that person and pity for this person, right? And this has a lot to do with everyone's ability to actually do the performative role play, right? Everyone has to actually, talk in character and do a good job with, 4D role playing. But when everyone's doing their job and you're actually, forming relationships with people and everyone is like actually making interesting characters and doing cool stuff. And then someone dies or someone gets injured. You're like, no, don't die. I've run over and patch his wounds, right? It's real for you. You feel the emotional bleed, right? And when someone, gets married,
Yes.
Okay. So I had an experience with my wife. Okay. I met her actually, she came to my D&D table back when I was playing D&D, and that's how I met her. And we got married like 5 months later.
Absolutely adorable, by the way. Turns out RPGs tables does work for relationships and romance.
It does great. Well, okay, you have no idea. Okay, I have one of the videos my wife made a thumbnail for called "Sex Appeal is Great for Role-Playing Games," because she literally, her character fell in love with my character, like I was GMing, so it was an NPC, but she fell in love with one of my NPCs, and they married just a couple of months before my wife and I married in real life. It was great.
Was it before you guys started having a relationship or after?
Before.
Oh,
it led
okay.
into the real life relationship. It was wonderful. Okay, so when that character, he's Brencax, he's this big old black Draken. You can see him in the art. He's this big old black Draken, right? Which is my version of Dragonborn. Okay. He's just so stoic and so manly and so masculine, and he's just like this uber guy. She fell so hard for him. She's like, oh, it's a Draken. I'm gonna get in bed with him. This is gonna happen.
Okay, so many thoughts. Before we get to the fourth quadrant, this one I think is what really appeals to women to role play. It's the emotional aspect of feeling the emotions, of feeling the thrill and the drama of all the social dynamics between the characters in the world. Where when guys role play, right? When they walk into a village, it's mostly, you go shopping, it takes 5 minutes, you pick up a pair of trunks, you got your healing potions and your rations. Mm-hmm. Maybe you talk to the Duchess to get a quest job, and you're good with it. But women, from my experience, they really love role playing out the drama and feeling like, oh, this world is so rich with tension between player characters
I agree.
and NPCs because they feel real. You try to make them as real as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something I enjoy too. A lot of women enjoy it, absolutely. So anyway, my wife achieved emotional bleed. My wife achieved this third quadrant, and it was beautiful. And it's one of the things that convinces me that my Arch game is possible. You can do it. Is that we had this big old, encountered this big old combat. She had this relationship with him, and he was absent so much of the time, and she missed him, and she longed for him, and we were building up all this emotional tension and this like almost sexual tension and whatnot, and we're building it up and up and up, and then there's this point where she has to kill this guy and soul trap him because she's dying, right? She has this like death disease. Her heart was like destroyed, and so she needs to get a soul in order to like keep herself alive as like life support. So there's a super evil bad guy, and his soul is perfect. So she's gonna go kill him, okay? And this guy comes in and gets a drop on him. This guy starts damaging her character and damaging Brencax, her husband guy. And they get into this massive battle where they're all the solo health, one hit will kill, and they finally get this bad guy. He was a violet, like a tiefling. Okay, they finally get him, and Brencax, her husband, is sitting there holding his throat and lifting him up. And Brencax hands the dagger over to my wife's character, and right before my wife gets it, the bad guy grabs the dagger, stabs himself, absorbs his own soul, and just dies, taking away my wife's character's ability to save herself. She's like, I'm dead.
Right.
This was the soul that was going to save me. And then her husband, Brencax, drops him, picks up the dagger, looks at her and says, because we're married, my soul's compatible too. He puts the dagger in her hand and says, kill me. Absorb my soul.
Absolutely. Fantastic. That's cinema right there.
And my wife cried at the table. She was bawling. She's saying, no, 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 no. Don't make me do this. No, absolutely not. And she was crying. She loved Brencax. Like, really. She loved this character. And she was just bawling her eyes out. And it was at the end of the session. And I was like, I played this Brencax voice. I was like, do it. Save yourself. And then he grabs her head and he puts it to his head. And he says, live for both of us. And then she's like, no! And she stabs. She says, I stab, I kill him. And she stabs. I describe his soul going away, and she falls down and whatnot. And then she's just sitting there inconsolable, like this, just crying that she did that. And all the players get up, and they're all like, okay. And they get up and leave. And she just goes to bed, and she's crying. She's like, why did you make me do that? She was absolutely hysterical. She completely felt everything that her character was feeling. My wife and her character were one. When I saw that, I said, oh my goodness, not everyone gets to experience this, but they can. I'm not an awesome GM. This wasn't an awesome set. This was just emotional bleed. If I can do it, if she can do it, lots of people can do this. I want to share this. This is awesome.
I agree. I think it's absolute cinema. It's what makes role-playing tables magical, right? Create this illusion for the players, that like the illusion of choice and the illusion of wonder. It's like, no, I'm just representing the world as real as possible.
Make it real, yeah.
But you also have this guy of like, oh, he sees a moment to the last dash of just foiling all of her plans, which is super cool. But it's also in character for that nemesis, this enemy.
Yeah, because
he
hated
also
her.
For the NPC that married her to be like, I see one way to save her. And you realize it could have ended up in a more lame way, but because you think about what would be cool, what makes sense for those characters, what makes sense for those NPCs. Oh wait, I have something special here, and you hone in on that. You don't step out of it and think like, you don't have the time at session like, oh yeah, like once she gets there, he's gonna stab himself, and then she has to make this choice. It's so much better when you arrive there organically at the table. Yes, emergent. Emergent is a great word here.
Yes, exactly. I think the entire experience should be emergent. That's how it's real. That's how it's true. It's totally unpredictable. It feels awesome. So
we need to get to the fourth quadrant.
Yes, exactly. It's past 11 for me. I have to get up from them.
After that, we're gonna wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the third quadrant, emotional bleed. Emergent, all of that. It's awesome. There was one more thing I was going to say, but it doesn't matter. All right, fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant is immersion into the character. Okay, yes. This quadrant has a couple of steps itself, right? Immersion into the character requires a few things. One, it requires role playing. You have to act like the character. Two, it requires role thinking. You have to think like the character. This is the part that 4D doesn't really promote. It doesn't really encourage. 4D says you should act like it, but I hardly hear anyone talking about thinking like it, right? So I say both. You have to act like it, you have to think like it. And then the whole roleplay thing is role-playing the portrait of your soul, which is something I made a video about, where if there's like this 50-year-old biker guy that went to prison and whatnot, he's out now, and he tries to play an 8-year-old girl, he's just not going to be immersed. There's just no way that his lived experience is going to be able to bridge that gap, and that he's going to be able to actually feel like an 8-year-old girl. It's just not going to happen, right? But he can feel like a biker guy, because he is a biker guy. He knows exactly what that feels like. He can feel like a military or an ex-con or a criminal, right? If he role plays something nearer to his real life experience, you can have a truer immersion, more diegetic experience, right? And so I recommend for this fourth quadrant, you role play the portrait of your soul, right? I think everyone has a portrait of their soul. Mine is this, fiery dark elf that has been abandoned and exiled from his home, and he's a mage and a warrior, and he's, he feels guilty and ashamed, and he goes out and he finds his way. That is something that is in me. Like, I actually had this character in me, and every Elder Scrolls game I played, every other game I played, I automatically played this character because he was something in me, right? So if you take that, you take the portrait of your soul, whatever it looks like for you, your main character, who you are in your soul, and you role play that, you do it first person perspective from his eyes, thinking his thoughts, and the character that you are playing is an internal archetype. It is part of your own psyche. That is the fourth quadrant. So you are fully immersed into the world,
All right.
fully immersed into the activity, fully immersed into the emotions, and fully immersed into this character. You are a character living in a world, doing stuff you're focused on, and you feel all of the emotion. And you're not thinking any meta thoughts. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say with the whole what I was going to say earlier, with my wife, and with me and whatnot.
Yes.
I was going to say something. She didn't have any meta stuff like, what would be cool? What would be cool here? What's interesting here, right? That's the stuff where you said, I can think about what would be cool for the table, and I'm not unimmersed. I don't think that would be true for her. If she had thought about anything, I wonder what would be cool right here, she wouldn't be immersed. She wouldn't be crying. The fact that she was crying told me that she was thinking of not one other thought except what was right in front of her. So that's why I disagree with you, that you can think about other things like, what would be good for the table? What would be interesting? And still be immersed like that. I think those are so opposite from each other. I don't think it's possible.
I think I do it all the time. So it's really hard for me to accept what you say as feedback because I do it.
And
right?
I'm not inside your head, so you very well may do it. I'm just saying from my experience, from the outside looking in, I don't think it's possible. But yeah, we're going to go to disagree. We can't really prove it one way or the other. So yeah, those are the four quadrants.
It would be one of those things where it would be worthwhile to role play together and see if we can reveal this another layer where I try out the way you would suggest to role play. And I ignore all of those thoughts about it would be cool to do this and do that, and only focus on the character experience itself. And we have those other quadrants too. Mm-hmm. I think it's fine. Like for me, this is I can play in a different way.
Yeah, like I can play 4D even if it's not my favorite. You can try Arch game. Yeah. The whole I just hammer home and try to scrub away every inch of meta thought thinking. And one example of this is something I disagree with, the great Crispy on, is that he recommends, this isn't like a doctrine, but he recommends that when he's playing games, when he runs games and whatnot, the players, like the GM describes the player's success, but the player describes their own failure, right? I don't like that. I think that is meta thinking. I think it's unimmersive because I, as a player at the table, I am fully embodying that character. I'm not thinking about what anyone else wants. I'm not thinking about what's polite or sharing the spotlight. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm thinking, what do I want? I'm this dark elf in the world. I want X, Y, Z. And when I want to, jump over this gap, I want to jump over the gap. I'm selfish. I'm out for me. I want to succeed. And so that is my thought. That is my character's thought. And so when I roll and I fail, I want the GM to be like, the world punches back at you. You slip, you fall, you don't make it. I'm like, oh, darn, right? I try to grab on, right? But if the GM says, all right, you describe your failure, then I'm like, okay, now I have to leave the mindset of, I want to succeed. And now I have to think about, what's fair? What should my failure look like? And now I'm thinking as an arbiter. I'm thinking as a neutral referee, and I have to be fair. But my lived character experience, he doesn't want anything fair. He wants to win. So I don't want to pull the player out of the desire to win. I want to let them want to win. And I, as the GM, will be the world to say, you don't win. It's snatched from defeat. And I want you, the player, to be like, oh, I'm frustrated. I wanted to win. Right? I want you to stay in the character the whole time. I don't want you to have to think about what's fair, what would be interesting. Is someone sharing the spotlight, etc. I don't want you to think about that. I want you to fight and claw for victory. I want you to claw for the spotlight. I want you to, fight and whatnot. And hopefully, general basic politeness and table manners is automatic. Hopefully, you don't have to actually think about that consciously, right? Hopefully, we're all adults here and we can share the spotlight without thinking about it. But all of your conscious thoughts at the table should be what the character would think. And most characters
I've seen so many TikTokers. I watched Min-Max, and they chose to have a 7-player table, right? Six players, 1 GM. And
I've done it.
The girl at the table never did get a chance to role play.
I'm sorry.
If your entire show is I'm doing my stunts and it's all TikTok stuff, so lots of focus on yourself, your brand, everything you do, being funny, being popular, making an entertainment for the fans. You're not thinking about the other players at your table. And was like, okay, I'm reviewing this, and it was a pain point for a couple of viewers that they brought up. Yeah, she just doesn't get role play. And I'm reviewing this in the frame of crimes against role plays, hard-boiled detective. Of 25 minutes passed and one player didn't even role play yet. Like he didn't even have his first turn. Yeah, at my tables, I'm like, I don't have to think about that. Everyone has a turn within 5 minutes, even if we are setting up the scene, because the players know they know the cadence of I'm keeping my turns short and passing the buck on. And we don't have to stop and ask, okay, what do you do on your turn? It's implied. Yeah.
And hopefully that's all able to be done subconsciously. Hopefully you won't have to think about that. I want all your conscious thoughts to be, immersive, to be what the character
thinks. Need to find a rhythm with the other players at the table. Yes. Once you find the rhythm, you stop thinking about it.
Exactly. Rhythm, it just takes you just go stop thinking about it. Perfectly said. If I can just say one more thing. I know it's late for both of us. You mentioned something like the complicated action economy, right? But this is something I'm actually very pleased with my my system here, is the action economy is exactly what 4D already said you can do. Say where you are, say what you do, say what you say, and then the think part is you don't say what you think because that's not immersive, but that reminds you, what is my character thinking? It reminds you to role play. It reminds you to think his thoughts, right? These are here on the sheet. This isn't complicated. This is literally exactly how people move in real life. They move, they do something, they speak something, and then they think something. So I don't think this is complicated at all.
Lots of people skip the last step.
Exactly. That's why it's on the sheet. It's to remind you.
No, I think it's more immersive if they skip the last step because it's more to real life.
Oh, sure. I'm like, you don't have to. It's a reminder. Like you don't have to look at your sheet and go through the list every time. That's for new players. But yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking. What am I thinking? I'm thinking about that Miley Cyrus song yet again. It's like,
yeah.
So some people have more going on than others, so we don't have to like diss the entire human population.
Yeah, it's just a minor thing.
I do like that stuff of as a reminder to be like, all right, yeah, I should do that.
Yeah,
to be part of the character sheet, I'm okay with that. I have a couple more points, but they're really not really needed here now. We got more than enough for people to look at. We got over the 4 quadrants, which I think is super important, and all the other stuff. And I'm super happy that I got my criticism out, and I hope it's constructive.
It absolutely
and useful to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, Zonalar.
All right. Archmaster, he has a channel. Yeah. You read the name, you type that into YouTube, and that's how you find them. If it ends up on YouTube, on my end, I'll put it into the description.
Cool.
Whatever. We will find out if people are even going to watch this because. Okay, tangent. I made Inside Roleplay because it's a wordplay on Inside Check, but also on Inside Baseball. Highly technical information about baseball that nobody really cares about, right? Oh, the Inside Baseball. He explains the Inside Baseball. That's the whole point of the show. So it's 2 hours long. Then we talk about, okay, why is this guy so upset that these other players are role-playing and got $100,000 for it by their fans? And they all knew, they all pitched in the money. They all knew, they all agreed. You're just spending all of this money for some role play. It's all above board as far as I know. And this other guy freaks out. It's like, okay, let's make it a separate video. Everyone watches that video. 2,000 people watch that one. And
It's the same thing.
200 people care about role playing.
Yes, exactly. It's the same thing that Professor DM has been dealing with for a while, is that people click on news and drama and whatnot. They just don't click on philosophy as much. Oh, well.
Yeah, because one of them, everyone knows human interaction. Everyone knows drama. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But not everyone cares about role play.
It's one thing I really admire about Uriah and his channel is he has the thumbnails and the content and whatnot where he's taking philosophy and actually making it mainstream and making it palatable for people. Like, good on him. I'm really glad.
Palatable is a great feat, and I agree with you.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic show.
When I first saw him talking about all the anchoring or the re-narration, I don't know if that was the first one I saw or the second, but I was like, this sounds a lot like 4D. Like, wow, is this does he know 4D? And then he's like, download the 4D player handbook. I'm like, oh, you're 4D. Like, but he seemed mainstream. So that's a great middle ground. He's doing a great job.
He's wearing the mask of the YouTuber of like, oh, he's so likable and chubby and so nice, and he plays guitar and like, oh,
yeah, he's doing a really good job.
Like, I know his real truth. We played together.
And he's actually a filthy 4D role player.
Yeah, when he role plays, he's fucking dirty. He destroys my character. And like, we've had great times. I've had great sessions with him. He's fantastic.
Yeah,
cannot give him more praise.
Yes, I like him. All right. This is a lot of fun. I got to go to bed. I got to work tomorrow. Thank you for staying up, Zonalar. Really enjoyed the discussion.
You're welcome.
I think I'm scheduled to be on Inside Roleplay this Friday. So
this Friday, yes.
Yeah. Are you going to be there?
I'm the one hosting.
You're hosting. Okay, cool.
It doesn't happen if I'm not there.
Dude, what are we going to talk about? We've already talked about everything.
Look, we're going to talk about games that actually happened. And things that we do to help other people get into the hobby, whatever we can come up with. I'm gonna write down at least a few notes.
Okay.
I think it would also be a good moment to like reintroduce the 4 quadrants again of like what your perfect game would look like, to get into that mindset. So it's fantastic to put that into a separate show, and I can also turn that into a small video. If we talk for 2 hours, I can turn that section into a 10-minute video that people can click on to help to be like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I don't care about the rest of this podcast. That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah,
and then if we want, we might also talk about, okay, this thing happened in the industry. Do we have any thoughts on this? Yes, no, and discuss.
I'm telling you now, I don't want to be embroiled in any drama or anything. I'm probably not going to have a lot of opinions on that.
Why? Okay, I understand why not, but my question is, we can avoid that whole thing if you. I think it's totally fine if you don't want to speak to it. But I'm also not. I'm not trying to like toss hot lava at somebody. Be like, oh no, he burned himself. I'm so surprised.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be amicable to the guests, of course. Yeah. I don't want to jump scare somebody. Be like, that guy is gay. What is your thoughts about being gay?
Like, yeah. I'm not gonna take sides or anything. I don't want to criticize people. I can. It's one thing to criticize WotC and 5e. I'm okay with that. Be like, yeah, I think the game stinks. I think it's kind of trash. I'm okay with that because I'm promoting my own product instead, right? That's understandable. But I don't want to be like, yeah, this guy did something wrong with drama and whatnot. I don't care. My audience doesn't care. That's not what they come to me for.
I'm okay with that. Totally fine. Totally fine. All right. I'm gonna push for if it's an interesting topic, I'll bring it up. If it's not interesting, like this one thing was like, oh, there's so much drama involved, and I wanted to know like what is behind it. Is it worthwhile? What should people get if they pay $100,000? It was more a commentary on the industry because okay, we have super fans here that are super wasteful with money and are okay with like minimum viable role play as a reward. As a Kickstarter thing, like why did they not do the show and then ask for an entry fee? Hey, you can watch our entire thing. First session is for all of our fans, and like anyone who's on the Patreon gets it for free. Like anybody else gets to watch it a month later and finance it that way. Like give a product first and then finance it instead of leaning on your giant fan base to do the hard lifting for you. Like yeah, just pay us. And after it's done, we're gonna let's do the play thing.
Yeah,
that feels lazy to me. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like there might be super nice people, but that's lazy.
Yeah, I just watch it as as an education of, what to do, what not to do, what people's opinions are. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, that some guy had a problem with this. What did they do wrong? What could they have done wrong? And not really forming an opinion on it, but just more like, I'll have to keep that in mind if I have a fundraiser in the future. I'll try to avoid XYZ, right? I just view it as educational, not to point fingers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. Sorry, now I made this political, drama focus again at the very end.
It's cool. All right, thanks, Zonalar. Really appreciate it, man. My wife is waiting to come into the bedroom and go to bed. So
let's end the stream.
Yes, and the stream. That's first. I was about to leave, so thank you. All right, bye all. Thank you for watching.